The coffee hit her files like a deliberate insult. Rachel Mitchell didn't flinch, just watched the brown stain spread across translation reports while the SEAL who dumped it laughed with his buddies. Her scarred face showed nothing, but her right hand hidden beneath the desk counted exits, calculated distances, measured threat levels. Because the woman they called Scarface wasn't broken. She was waiting. And when the mortars hit Firebase Phoenix 60 seconds later, everyone would learn what waiting had made her. Before we dive into Rachel's story, hit that subscribe button and stick with me until the end. You won't believe where this goes. And drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now let's begin. The mockery started before Rachel Mitchell even reached the barracks. She walked through Firebase Phoenix's main gate with nothing but a canvas bag and papers identifying her as a contract translator. The guards waved her through without a second glance. Another civilian, another replaceable body to fill a slot in the bureaucratic machine. Derek Sullivan spotted her from the armory steps, watched her cross the compound with that slight limp, that careful way of moving like every step cost something. Then he saw her face. "Jesus," he muttered to his teammate. "Check out the new girl." Jake Martinez, the unit medic, looked up from his supply checklist, saw the scars running down the left side of Rachel's face, deep, deliberate, the kind that told stories nobody wanted to hear. "Man, don't—" "I'm just saying," Derek's voice carried across the yard. "Taliban got creative with that one." Rachel heard him. Had to. But her expression never changed. She just kept walking toward the administration building, that canvas bag over one shoulder, eyes forward. That was day 1. By day 3, the jokes had escalated. "Hey, Scarface," Derek called across the mess hall. "You ever think about makeup? They got stuff for that now." His buddies laughed. Rachel picked up her tray rice, something that might have been chicken water, and found her usual corner table. Alone. Martinez watched her go, something uneasy twisting in his gut. "You're an asshole, you know that." Derek shrugged. "She's a translator. Probably got grabbed by the enemy somewhere, cried her way through interrogation, and now pushes papers for Uncle Sam. I'm just calling it like I see it." "You don't know what happened to her." "Don't need to." Derek stood stretched. "She's dead weight, the kind that slows everyone down." But Martinez kept watching Rachel, started noticing things that didn't fit the broken civilian narrative. The way she ate fork in her left hand, right hand, always free, always resting near the table edge where she could push off fast. The way her eyes tracked every person who entered the mess hall, cataloged them dismissed, or flagged them in seconds. The way she walked those perimeter routes during her breaks like she was memorizing fields of fire. Most civilians jumped at sudden noises. Rachel didn't even blink when Apaches thundered overhead. "Something's wrong with her," Martinez told Derek a week in. "Yeah, her face." "I'm serious. Watch how she moves. That's not PTSD. That's training." Derek laughed. "She's a translator, not an operator. You're seeing ghosts." Week 2 brought fresh humiliations. Someone, probably Derek, started leaving notes on Rachel's desk. Crude drawings of her scars. Suggestions she transfer somewhere more suitable for damaged goods. She never responded, just filed the notes in her desk drawer and went back to work. Deputy Director Rogers, the CIA liaison running intelligence operations, treated her like furniture. Would drop intercept recordings on her desk without a word sometimes, without even looking at her. "Need these by 600, he'd say to the air. "Yes, sir," Rachel would answer. Always the same 2 words. Never more. The contempt was everywhere, soaked into the base like oil into sand. Soldiers stepped around her in corridors. Officers talked over her in briefings. When she walked past, conversations died not from respect, but because acknowledging her meant acknowledging something uncomfortable. Only Martinez kept watching. He saw her one night outside her container unit, standing in the darkness, perfectly still, just standing there like a statue. He almost called out, but something stopped him. The way she held herself. The way her head tilted, listening to sounds he couldn't hear. She stood there for 11 minutes, then walked back inside. "What the hell was that?" Martinez whispered to himself. The night everything changed started with Rachel's hands. She sat in her cramped office headphones on transcribing Pashto intercepts like she had every night for 14 days. Routine chatter, supply movements, patrol schedules, nothing actionable. Her pen moved across the notepad in smooth strokes, translating phrases into clipped English. Outside the window, Firebase Phoenix settled into evening rhythm. Patrols rotating in, kitchen crews prepping dinner, the sun bleeding out over the mountains. Rachel's pen stopped. She rewound the recording, played it again. Her left hand, the one not holding the pen, made a fist. She played it a third time, then pulled off her headphones and stood. Martinez was passing in the corridor when Rachel's door opened. She walked straight past him toward Roger's office, moving faster than he'd ever seen her move. "Mitchell," he called. She didn't stop. Rogers looked up when she entered, without knocking. "What?" "The intercepts from Grid 7. Rachel's voice was level, controlled. "They're using coded fire commands. This isn't chatter, it's coordination." Rogers frowned, that bureaucratic irritation of someone interrupted from important paperwork. "We've analyzed those recordings. Standard communication." "Sir, there, Mitchell." He cut her off with a raised hand. "Your job is to translate words, not interpret tactical significance. We have analysts for that. Real analysts." The scar tissue on Rachel's face pulled tight. "Sir, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you to stay in your lane." Rogers pointed at the door. "You translate. That's all. Now get out." Rachel stood there for 3 seconds. Martinez, watching from the corridor, saw something flicker across her damaged face. Not anger. Something colder, like she was calculating distances, measuring angles. Then it was gone. "Yes, sir," she said, turned, walked back to her office. Martinez followed her. "Hey, you okay?" Rachel sat down, put her headphones back on. "Fine. You seemed pretty convinced about those intercepts." "Doesn't matter what I'm convinced of." She pulled up a new recording. "I'm just a translator." But Martinez saw her right hand resting on the desk, tapping out a rhythm. Not nervous energy, a count, precise, methodical, like she was timing something. In the mess hall, Derek held court with his team, complaining about everything from the food to the heat to the mind-numbing boredom of base duty. 18 more days, he said. "Then we rotate home and I never have to see Scarface's sorry ass again." "You really gotta let that go," Martinez said, sitting down with his tray. "Why?" "She's a constant reminder of everything that goes wrong out here. Taliban breaks people. She's proof. She's a person, Derek. She's a liability." Derek shook his head. "And I'll be damned if I'm going to pretend she's anything else." Martinez wanted to argue, wanted to tell Derek about the way Rachel stood in the darkness, like she was on watch, about the way she moved through the base mapping every angle, about the instinct screaming at him that this woman was dangerous in ways they didn't understand. But a sound cut him off. Distant. High-pitched. Barely audible over the mess hall din. Rachel heard it in her office. Her hands froze on the keyboard, head tilted. That same listening posture Martinez had seen outside her container. The sound came again, a whistling that meant nothing to most people. But Rachel knew that sound the way musicians know notes. Incoming. Her body moved before thought. She was up, moving door open, sprinting down the corridor toward the mess hall. Soldiers pressed against walls as she blew past them. Derek saw her coming through the mess hall entrance. "What the? Get down!" Rachel's voice cracked like a whip. "Everyone on the floor now!" For a second, nobody moved. Just stared at the scarred translator who'd never raised her voice above a whisper. Then Rachel grabbed the nearest table and flipped it. Down. Derek's training kicked in. He dropped. The mortar hit the western wall 3 seconds later. The explosion shattered windows, sent soldiers diving for cover, turned the world into flying glass and screaming metal. Rachel was already moving, grabbing Derek by his vest, hauling him behind the overturned table as the second impact hit 20 meters closer. "How did you—" Derek gasped. "Quiet." Rachel's voice was different now, clear, commanding, stripped of that civilian softness. They're walking fire toward the center, counting intervals. Next impact in 876. The third mortar hit exactly where she predicted, right through the mess hall roof. Chaos erupted. Soldiers scrambled for weapons. Officers shouted conflicting orders. The emergency alarm finally blared 15 seconds too late. Rachel stood, scanned the room with eyes that suddenly looked like they'd seen 1,000 firefights. "Martinez, start triage. Derek, your team with me. We need to suppress their tubes before they adjust for range." Derek just stared. "Who the hell do you think? Move or die?" She was already running for the exit. Something in her voice made him obey. Made all of them obey. They followed her into the compound as mortars continued to fall. Rachel counted each impact out loud, calculating trajectories like she was solving arithmetic. Because to her, that's all it was. Math. Angles. Distance over time. "Tower 3, she said, pointing. "That's the firing position we need." They reached the guard tower sandbags and a mounted M240. The assigned guard was curled behind cover, useless, screaming into his radio. Rachel pulled him aside, grabbed the machine gun, checked the belt feed with hands that knew every part of the weapon. "Someone spot for me," she said. "You can't just—" Derek stopped when she looked at him. Really looked at him. The scarred translator was gone. What looked out from those eyes now was something that had killed before. Something that would kill again. Another mortar screamed overhead. Rachel tracked it by sound alone, calculated the reverse azimuth in her head. "Grid reference 073 elevation 200 meters target cluster right of the dead pine." She opened fire. The M240 roared. Rachel's burst was surgical 5-second burst, adjust 5 more seconds. No wasted ammunition. No spray and pray. Every round had a purpose. In the mountains, someone screamed. The enemy mortars went silent. Derek's hands shook. "Jesus Christ, how did you—" But Rachel was already moving again, this time toward the armory. She kicked open the door, scanned the weapon racks, grabbed an M24 sniper rifle like she'd done it 10,000 times, checked the chamber, grabbed a bandolier of ammunition, headed for the highest point on base. Martinez caught up to her on the stairs. "Rachel, what the hell is happening?" "Inside intelligence." She didn't slow down. "Someone gave them our patrol schedules, our defensive gaps, our shift rotations. This isn't opportunistic. It's surgical." "How do you know?" She reached the top of the tower, set up the rifle with movements that were pure muscle memory stock, to shoulder cheek, to stock, breathing already controlled. "Because I've planned operations exactly like this one." The next 30 minutes rewrote everything Derek thought he knew. Every enemy position Rachel predicted was exactly where she said it would be. Every shot she took ended a threat. She called out enemy movements before they happened, directed defensive fire with the precision of someone who'd commanded men in combat. And her shots, God, her shots. 800 meters moving target wind gusting, she made the kill. 900 meters elevated position, target partially concealed, she found the gap. 1,000 meters enemy machine gunner setting up, she ended him before he fired a round. Derek stood beside her, feeding her ammunition, watching this woman transform into something from the ghost stories operators told in the dark. "Who are you?" he whispered. Rachel chambered another round. Someone who should have stayed dead. Deputy Director Rogers finally appeared, red-faced, and shouting into 3 radios at once. "What is going on? Who authorized?" "Sir, we're under coordinated assault," one of his analysts said. "They knew our weaknesses. I know what they knew." Rogers spun on his command staff. "Fire teams to the eastern perimeter. Now, reinforce the main gate." "That's wrong," Rachel said without looking away from her scope. Rogers turned on her. "What did you say? That's the wrong call." Rachel adjusted her scope. "They want us to reinforce east so they can breach from the north. It's textbook tactical diversion. Soviet-era playbook. And whoever gave them our defensive plans knows you'd make exactly that call." Roger's face went purple. "You're a translator. Stay in your goddamn lane." Rachel's next shot took out an enemy spotter at 900 meters. "My lane is keeping these men alive. You can relieve me after we're not all dead." Derek watched the exchange, something clicking into place in his head. The way Roger's face went white when Rachel mentioned inside intelligence, the way his hands shook on the radio, the way he kept giving orders that would weaken their defense. "Sir," Derek said slowly, "maybe we should listen to—" "I don't take tactical advice from civilians," Rogers screamed. Rachel fired again. Another hit. "Then take it from someone who's run this exact operation from the other side. They're setting up a support by fire position on the northern ridge. They'll suppress our response while the main assault breaches the wire. You reinforce east, they own the north in 4 minutes." Rogers stared at her. "How could you possibly—" "Because that's what I'd do." Rachel ejected a spent magazine, loaded a fresh one. "Martinez." The medic appeared. "Yeah. Take 3 men. Northern perimeter. Now. Dig in and wait." Martinez looked at Rogers, then at Rachel. Made a choice. "On it." "Belay that!" Rogers shouted. But Martinez was already moving, grabbing soldiers heading north. Derek made his own choice. "Everyone else listen to her. Whatever she says, you do it." "I'll have you court-martialed," Rogers screamed. Rachel's voice cut through the chaos, calm and absolute. "You can court-martial corpses if we all die because you're either incompetent or complicit. Your call, sir." The soldiers followed Rachel's orders. When she said reinforce the north, they did. When she called out targets, they fired. When she predicted the enemy's next move, they prepared. And slowly, impossibly, they turned the attack. But the rain started thick cold, turning the compound into mud and the air into a gray wall. Rachel shrugged out of her soaked jacket to maintain mobility. Kept firing. Kept calling targets. Behind her, Derek moved closer to hand her ammunition. Then he saw her back. The rain had made her shirt transparent, clinging to skin that was more scar than flesh. Whip marks, burn patterns, systematic torture carved into a human canvas, and letters, branded into her shoulder blades with deliberate precision, V19-7. Derek's rifle clattered to the concrete. Oh my God. Martinez saw it next, then the others. One by one, the soldiers who'd mocked her saw the truth written on her body. V19-7. Viper, Derek breathed. His legs went weak. Unit 19, Operator 7. The legend, the ghost story, the sniper who'd saved more lives than anyone could count, who'd turned impossible missions into successes, who'd been declared KIA 3 years ago when an operation went catastrophically wrong in the Hindu Kush. They'd been mocking a legend. humiliating a hero who'd bled for them before they even knew her name. That's not possible, someone whispered. She's dead. Operator 7 is dead. Rachel fired another shot, confirmed the kill, then turned to face them. Her scarred face, the face they'd laughed at, the scars they'd made jokes about, suddenly made terrible sense. 8 months of torture. Survived when her entire team died. Disappeared into whatever black hole consumed failed operations. Not dead, Rachel said quietly. Just waiting. The compound went silent, except for rain and distant gunfire. Derek's face crumbled. The Kandahar rescue. Oh God, you were Kandahar. Rachel's expression didn't change. My brother was there. Derek's voice broke. He said someone impossible saved them. Ghost shots from 1,000 meters. 12 men extracted under fire. He said it was like God himself was on overwatch. It wasn't God, Rachel said. And 12 men came home. But 23 didn't. She turned back to her rifle. We still have hostiles. Grieve later. But Derek couldn't move. Couldn't process. He'd spent 2 weeks destroying the person who'd saved his brother's life. The person who'd earned more respect in one mission than he'd earn in his entire career. Ma'am, The words died in his throat. Rachel didn't acknowledge him, just kept firing, kept saving them. Martinez appeared at the tower entrance. Northern breach attempted. We stopped it, just like you said. Casualties. Minor. Your timing was perfect. Rachel nodded. They'll try the east next. Redirect. An explosion cut her off. Bigger than the mortars. Closer. Breaching charge, Rachel said. They're inside the wire. She grabbed her rifle, headed for the stairs. The others followed like she'd always been their commander, because in every way that mattered she had been. They found the breach point, a section of wall blown open, enemy combatants pouring through. Rachel dropped to one knee, started firing. Every shot a hit, every hit a kill. Derek and his team joined in, but they were outgunned, outnumbered. Fall back to secondary positions, Rachel ordered. Establish crossfire. They moved like they'd trained with her for years, because she gave orders like she'd led men through hell and brought them home. The firefight raged. Rachel was everywhere, calling targets, directing fire, making impossible shots seem routine. Her rifle was an extension of her body. Her tactical sense was perfect, and slowly, incredibly, they held, until helicopter rotors thundered overhead. Gunships. Beautiful, deadly American gunships. They lit up the enemy positions with minigun fire that sounded like the world ending. The attack collapsed in minutes. When the all-clear finally sounded, Rachel stood covered in mud and cordite and walked toward the command center. Rogers intercepted her, but his confidence was gone. Mitchell, we need to debrief. Rachel grabbed his wrist. Not hard enough to break, just hard enough to promise she could. We need to talk about who gave the enemy our patrol schedules. His eyes went wide. Let go. About who told them exactly when and where to strike. Rachel's voice was ice over steel. About who's been selling intelligence that got my team killed 3 years ago. You're insane. Maybe. Rachel released him. But I've spent 3 years undercover waiting for proof. And tonight, Deputy Director, you just gave it to me. Every wrong order you gave, I recorded. Every defensive gap they exploited, I documented. You're either catastrophically incompetent or actively complicit. Either way, you're done. She walked away, leaving him pale and shaking. In the mess hall converted to triage, Martinez worked on wounded while Derek sat against the wall, head in his hands. I can't believe, Derek started. Stopped. We called her Scarface. Jesus Christ, we called her Scarface. Yeah, Martinez said quietly. We did. Rachel appeared in the doorway wearing a fresh jacket that hid the scars. But everyone who'd seen her back couldn't unsee it. Couldn't forget what those marks meant. 12 teammates dead, 8 months of torture, survival through sheer will. And she'd never said a word, just endured their mockery and waited. "Medic Martinez," Rachel said. "Casualty report. 11 wounded, 3 critical. No KIA." Rachel nodded. "Derek, debrief your team. Document everything. Everyone else get dry and warm. This isn't over." "Ma'am," someone asked, "what happens now?" Rachel's scarred face showed something that might have been a smile, might have been a promise. "Now we wait for General Harrison to arrive. He's the one who declared me KIA. Time to ruin his day." She moved to the window, watched more helicopters approach in the distance. Derek stood, walked to her. "Ma'am, Save it." Rachel didn't look at him. "You saw a broken translator and you treated her exactly how you thought she deserved. That's on you. But you followed orders when it mattered. That's on you too." "I'm sorry." Sorry doesn't bring back the 23. Rachel turned to face him. "But next time you see scars, remember they might belong to someone who earned them saving people like you. Remember that before you make jokes." Derek nodded, unable to speak. Outside, the helicopters landed. Rachel watched them through the rain-streaked window. Martinez joined her. "What really happened 3 years ago?" Rachel was quiet for a long moment. "We went after a high-value target, a traitor selling Black Ops intel to the highest bidder. We had him, had the evidence, had everything. What went wrong? Someone warned him we were coming. Someone inside our own command structure." Rachel's jaw tightened. 12 good men died in the ambush. I was captured. Tortured for 8 months. They wanted the names of every operator I'd ever worked with. You didn't break. Everyone breaks eventually. Rachel touched the scars on her face. But I gave them nothing they could use, and when I escaped, I disappeared. Because I knew the traitor was still out there. Rogers is a middleman, small fish. Rachel's eyes were cold. The person who sold us out is higher up the chain. Someone with access to operational planning. Someone who's been operating for years. How do you know? Because they tried to kill me again tonight. Rachel pointed at the helicopters. And they just sent the one person I know is clean to clean up their mess. General Harrison is about to learn that Operator 7 never stopped hunting. The helicopters landed. Soldiers poured out, and leading them his uniform-bearing stars that caught the compound lights, General Harrison. He stepped into the mess hall, surveying the damage, the wounded, the exhausted soldiers. His eyes swept the room and stopped on Rachel. For a moment, he just stared. Then his face went white. "No," he whispered. "That's not possible." Rachel stepped forward. "Hello, General. I'm told I'm dead." Harrison's hand moved to his sidearm not to draw but to steady himself. "Viper, Operator 7, reporting for duty, sir." Rachel's voice was steady. 3 years late, but I brought you a present." She nodded toward where Rogers sat, pale and defeated. Harrison looked between them. "Someone explain. Right now." Rachel reached into her pocket, pulled out a flash drive. "Everything's on here, sir. 3 years of undercover investigation. Every transaction, every leak, every operation that Rogers compromised. He's been selling special operations intelligence since before my team died." "That's insane," Rogers said. "She's a mentally damaged civilian with delusions. Show me your back," Harrison said to Rachel. She turned, lifted her jacket. Let him see the scars. The code burned into her flesh. V19-7. Harrison's hand went to his mouth. "Dear God, what did they do to you?" 8 months, sir. They wanted names, unit rosters, safe house locations. I gave them nothing. Rachel lowered her jacket. But I gave you everything. Rogers is just the beginning. The network goes higher. Much higher. Harrison looked at Rogers. You're under arrest. Military police take him. As they dragged Rogers away, he looked at Rachel with pure hatred. You think this matters? You think catching me stops anything? They'll kill you before you get close. They can try, Rachel said. They've had 3 years. I'm still here. Harrison watched Rogers disappear, then turned to Rachel. His eyes were wet. We buried you. Full honors. I gave the eulogy. I heard it was beautiful, sir. Why didn't you contact me? Why stay hidden? Rachel met his eyes. Because I didn't know who to trust. My entire team died because someone betrayed us. Someone with access to our mission parameters. Someone who knew exactly where we'd be and when. Harrison's face went hard. You think No, sir, you're here. That means you're clean. Rachel handed him the flash drive. But someone in your chain of command isn't. Rogers just gave me a name before you arrived. Sarah Chen, NSA, codename Scorpion. The general's face went pale. Director Chen, that's not possible. It's all on the drive, sir. 3 years of proof. Harrison stared at the small device in his hand. If this is true, if Chen is compromised, this is the biggest intelligence breach since ever Rachel finished. She's been running a network for years, selling operational intel to enemy forces, getting our people killed, and she's going to keep doing it unless we stop her. Rachel smiled, cold, predatory. I've been dead for 3 years, sir. Ghosts make excellent hunters. Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. What do you need? A team. People you trust completely. And authorization to bring Chen in. Alive, if possible. And if not possible? Rachel's scarred face showed nothing. Then we make sure she never sells another secret. Harrison looked around the mess hall, at the soldiers who'd followed Rachel's orders, at Derek standing with his team still looking shell-shocked, at Martinez watching everything with quiet intensity. These men, Harrison said, they followed you tonight, against orders. They trusted you. They didn't know who I was. They knew enough. Harrison turned to Derek. Lieutenant Sullivan, you and your team are hereby reassigned to a joint task force under Operator 7's command, effective immediately. Derek straightened. Sir, yes, sir. Harrison looked back at Rachel. You've got your team. Now bring me Chen. Rachel nodded. There's one more thing, sir. What? Rogers said Chen wasn't the head of the network. Said there was someone above her. The general's jaw tightened. Then we don't stop at Chen. We burn the whole network down. Yes, sir? As Harrison moved to coordinate with his staff, Derek approached Rachel. Ma'am, I need to say, don't. Rachel cut him off. What's done is done, but from now on, when I give an order, you follow it without question. When I say move, you move. When I say fire, you fire. We clear? Crystal clear, ma'am. Good. Because where we're going, hesitation gets people killed. Rachel looked at him with eyes that had seen horrors he couldn't imagine. And I'm done losing people. She walked away, leaving Derek to process what he'd just signed up for. Martinez joined him. You realize we're now hunting someone in the NSA, right? Someone with access to everything. Yeah. Derek watched Rachel coordinate with Harrison's people, moving with the authority of someone born to command. But we're doing it with a ghost who survived 8 months of torture and came back for revenge. Justice, Martinez corrected. She called it justice. Is there a difference? Martinez thought about Rachel's scars, about the 23 men who didn't come home, about the 3 years she'd spent gathering evidence instead of just putting a bullet in Rogers. For her, he said quietly, yeah, there's a difference. Night deepened over Firebase Phoenix. Soldiers cleaned weapons and tended wounds. Helicopters ferried in supplies and reinforcements. And in a corner of the command center, Rachel stood over a map planning the hunt. General Harrison joined her. Chen's in Virginia, Fairfax County. We can have a team there in 8 hours. She'll know we're coming the moment we mobilize, Rachel said. She has eyes everywhere. Then how? We use that. Rachel traced a route on the map. We leak our approach, make her think she's in control, then hit her from an angle she's not watching. Harrison studied the map, saw the plan taking shape. That's risky. Everything about this is risky, sir. But Chen's arrogant. She's been untouchable for years. That's her weakness. And if she runs, Rachel's finger stopped on a location. She won't. She's too curious. She'll want to know how I survived, how I found her. She'll wait just long enough for us to close the trap. You sound certain. I am. Rachel looked up. Because that's what I'd do. Harrison nodded slowly. When do we move? Dawn. Give the men a few hours to rest. We'll need everyone sharp. And you? Rachel looked out the window at the compound, at the soldiers who'd followed her tonight, at the scars of battle still visible in damaged walls and blood-stained ground. I've been waiting 3 years, sir. I can wait 6 more hours. Harrison left her to her planning. Alone, Rachel pulled out a worn photograph from her jacket pocket. 12 faces looked back at her. Her team, her brothers. All dead because someone sold them out. She traced their faces with scarred fingers. Almost there, she whispered. Almost. A knock at the door. Martinez entered with a medical kit. You're bleeding. Rachel looked down. Sure enough, blood seeped through her shirt from a wound she hadn't even felt. It's nothing. It's a shrapnel wound. Sit down. She sat. Let him work. They were quiet for a long time, the only sound the clink of Martinez's tools and the distant hum of generators. Why'd you do it? Martinez asked finally. Why endure 2 weeks of mockery when you could have shut it down with 1 word? Rachel was quiet. Then, because I needed to see how people behave when they think you're powerless. Needed to know who had character and who just had rank. And you asked Derek to stop. That's more than most did. Rachel looked at him. In the tower, when Rogers gave wrong orders, you trusted me over him. That's everything. Martinez sealed the wound, applied a bandage. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About your team. About what happened to you. Don't be sorry. Help me make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. That's the plan, isn't it? That's why you came back. Rachel nodded. There's a network out there selling our people to the enemy. Every day they operate, more soldiers die. More families get folded flags. I'm going to end that. Even if it costs you everything. Rachel touched her scars. It already has. Now I'm just collecting the debt. Martinez finished packing his kit. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be hell. Tomorrow's going to be justice, Rachel corrected. She watched him leave, then returned to her planning. Outside, dawn was still hours away, but Rachel could feel it coming, could feel the hunt beginning. Somewhere in Virginia, Sarah Chen was sleeping soundly confident in her power, her network, her invincibility. She had no idea a ghost was coming for her. And ghosts, Rachel had learned, were patient. They waited in the dark. They watched from the shadows. And when the moment came, they struck without mercy. Rachel studied the map one more time, memorizing every detail. Then she whispered to the empty room to the memory of 12 fallen brothers. I'm coming, and I'm bringing hell with me. The scarred translator was gone. The broken civilian was gone. Operator 7 was back, and the hunt had just begun. 6 hours felt like 6 minutes. Rachel stood in the pre-dawn darkness outside her container unit, watching stars fade into gray. She hadn't slept. Couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw their faces. 12 men who trusted her. 12 men who died because someone sold them out. Ma'am, Derek's voice came from behind her. We're ready when you are. She turned. He looked different now. No smirk, no arrogance. Just a soldier who'd learned humility the hard way. His entire team stood behind him, weapons checked, gear ready. You don't have to do this, Rachel said. What we're going after, it's bigger than a firefight, bigger than anything you've trained for. With respect, ma'am, yes we do. Derek stepped closer. My brother came home because of you. That's a debt I'll never repay. But I can start trying. Martinez moved up beside him. We're in, all of us. Rachel studied their faces, saw determination, saw fear they were trying to hide, saw the kind of loyalty that couldn't be ordered, only earned. Then let's move, she said. The helicopter lifted off as dawn broke over the mountains. General Harrison sat across from Rachel, reviewing the flash drive's contents on a secured tablet. His face got harder with every file he opened. 3 years of this, he muttered, right under our noses. Chen's smart, Rachel said. She never takes direct payment. Everything routes through shell companies' offshore accounts, cutouts within cutouts. But the pattern's there if you know what to look for. Harrison looked up. How did you track it? I became what they thought I was. Broken, harmless, the kind of person nobody notices. Rachel's scarred face showed nothing. Turns out when people think you're damaged, they talk around you like you're furniture. I heard things, saw things, documented everything. For 3 years. For as long as it took. Derek listened from his seat near the door, trying to process the kind of patience that required. 3 years of mockery, 3 years of humiliation, all while gathering evidence against the people who'd killed her team. That's not revenge, Martinez said quietly beside him. That's something else. What? Dedication. Martinez checked his weapon for the 3rd time. Revenge is hot. Fast. This is cold and slow. This is someone who cares more about stopping the next attack than punishing the last one. The helicopter cut through morning sky toward Virginia. Rachel sat motionless, hands resting on her rifle. But Derek noticed her fingers, they kept tapping that same rhythm, counting something invisible. Ma'am, he ventured. What are you counting? Rachel's fingers stopped. Time. Always counting time. In that cell, it was the only thing I could control. How many seconds between interrogations? How many heartbeats until the next beating? You count long enough, you stop feeling it. You just exist in numbers. That's how you survived. That's how I stayed sane. Rachel looked at him. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just a broken translator who thinks she's still operational. You saved 30 lives last night, Derek said. That's not broken. Broken things can still be useful. They just cut differently. The helicopter descended toward a military airfield outside D.C. A convoy of black SUVs waited on the tarmac. Harrison stood as they landed. Listen up. Chen lives in a secured compound in Fairfax County. Private security cameras everywhere, panic room with independent power and communications. We go in loud, she disappears. We go in quiet, she might not know we're coming until it's too late. She already knows, Rachel said. She's known since Rogers got arrested. Question is whether she runs or waits. You said she'd wait? I said she's arrogant, but arrogance and stupidity aren't the same thing. Rachel grabbed her gear. We need to assume she's already planning her exit, which means we have maybe 6 hours before she's gone. They loaded into the SUVs. Rachel rode with Harrison in the lead vehicle. Derek and Martinez followed in the second truck, with 3 other operators Harrison had pulled from Joint Special Operations Command. So we're hunting a traitor with clearance higher than God, one of them said. His name was Foster, 20 years in Delta face like granite. And our primary asset is someone who's been legally dead for 3 years. This is going to be a clusterfuck. Probably, Martinez agreed. But she's the only one who's gotten this close. That counts for something. Foster looked out the window at the Virginia suburbs sliding past. You really think she survived 8 months of torture? I saw her back, Derek said quietly. She survived. Question is what it cost her. In the lead vehicle, Harrison was asking the same thing. Are you fit for this physically and mentally? Rachel's laugh was soft and bitter. I haven't been fit since they started carving letters into my spine, sir. But I'm functional. That's all that matters. Viper, Rachel, that call sign died with my team. She stared out the window. I'm just Rachel now, a translator with delusions and scars. You're the best operator I ever commanded. Was, past tense. Rachel touched her face. This version, I don't know what she is yet. They drove in silence for a while. Then Harrison said, What happened in that cell really happened. Rachel was quiet for so long he thought she wouldn't answer. Then, they wanted names, unit rosters, safe house locations, operational protocols, everything that would let them roll up our entire network. And you gave them nothing. I gave them lies wrapped in enough truth to seem real. Sent them chasing ghosts while our people relocated. Cost me teeth. Cost me skin. But nobody else died because of what I said. Rachel's jaw tightened. They died because someone sold us before I ever got captured. Chen gave the order, but someone higher gave her permission. Someone with authority to greenlight treason. Rachel looked at him. Rogers said she wasn't the head. Before your men dragged him away, he said, they'll kill you before you get close. They, plural. Harrison's face went dark. How high does this go? As high as it needs to. People with clearance don't get nervous about one dead operator. They get nervous about networks getting exposed. Rachel pulled out a small notebook, worn pages, covered in tiny handwriting. I've tracked 17 operations in the last 3 years that went wrong. Not bad luck. Not tactical errors. Wrong. Someone knew we were coming. She handed him the notebook. Harrison flipped through pages of dates, locations, casualty counts. His hands started shaking. 17, he whispered. That's over 200 casualties. 243, Rachel said. I memorized every name, every family, every funeral I couldn't attend because I was supposed to be dead. Why didn't you come forward sooner? With what theories, suspicions? The people doing this have power, sir. Real power. They'd bury the evidence and me with it. I needed proof. Ironclad, undeniable proof. That took time. The convoy turned onto a tree-lined street where houses cost more than most soldiers earned in a lifetime. Chen's compound sat at the end modernist architecture. High walls, enough security cameras to film a documentary. That's a fortress, Foster said over the radio. It's theater, Rachel replied. Cameras everywhere means she trusts cameras, trusts technology. That's exploitable. Harrison looked at her. You've thought about this. For 3 years I've thought about nothing else. They parked 3 blocks away. Rachel studied the compound through binoculars, mapping every angle, every sight line. Her fingers started that counting rhythm again. "Security rotation every 12 minutes, she said. 2 guards at the front gate. 4 roving patrols. All private contractors, expensive but not military. They'll hesitate before shooting federal agents. That's our window." "Window for what?" Harrison asked. "To get inside before she knows we're here." Rachel lowered the binoculars. "But we don't go in the front." She pointed to a drainage culvert running beneath the property line. "Service access. Installed when they built the house. Chen probably doesn't even know it exists. Plans were buried in county records under a different property designation." Derek stared at her. "How do you know that?" "Because I pulled every record on this place 6 months ago. Been planning this approach since I confirmed she lived here." Rachel started gearing up suppressed pistol-breaching tools, flashbangs. "Foster Martinez, you're with me through the culvert. Derek, take your team to the front gate. When we're in position, you make noise. Draw security forward." "You want us to be bait," Derek said. "I want you to be distraction. There's a difference." Rachel checked her weapon. "You show badges, you make demands, you act official. They'll focus on the front. We'll come in the back." Harrison nodded. "And if she's already gone, then we search until we find where she went. But my gut says she's still here. She wants to know how I survived. Wants to know what I know." "Curiosity killed the cat, sir. It's about to cage the scorpion." They moved into position. Derek and his team approached the front gate in full tactical gear badges visible. Rachel, Foster, and Martinez disappeared into the culvert. The drainage tunnel was tight, dark, smelling of stagnant water and decay. Rachel moved through it like she'd been born underground. No hesitation. No wasted movement. "She's done this before," Foster muttered to Martinez. "She's done everything before," Martinez replied. They emerged in the compound's rear garden manicured lawn, imported trees, the kind of expensive landscaping that screamed money without taste. Rachel hand-signaled them into position behind a decorative fountain. At the front gate, Derek was making his play. "Federal warrant for Sarah Chen. Open the gate." The guards looked at each other, uncertain. One pulled out a radio. "We need authorization from... You need to open this gate now, or face obstruction charges." Derek's voice carried the weight of authority. "Your choice." While they argued, Rachel was already moving. She reached the back door, reinforced electronic lock camera overhead. She pulled a small device from her pocket, attached it to the lock. The device hummed. The lock clicked open. "Where'd you get that?" Foster asked. "Made it. Had a lot of time in that cell to think about locks." Rachel eased the door open. "Stay tight. If she's got panic buttons, we've got about 30 seconds before everything goes loud." They entered a kitchen that looked like a showroom. Marble counters, professional-grade appliances, nothing suggesting anyone actually cooked there. Rachel moved through it like a ghost weapon, up scanning corners. A sound from upstairs. Footsteps. Calm. Measured. Not running. Rachel hand-signaled Foster to hold position, motioned Martinez to follow. They climbed the stairs in absolute silence. The footsteps led to a study. Door open. Light on. Rachel entered, first weapon trained on Sarah Chen, sat at a mahogany desk drinking tea. She looked up without surprise, without fear, just curiosity. "Operator 7, she said. "I wondered when you'd come." Rachel kept her weapon steady. "Hands where I can see them." Chen complied, setting down her teacup with delicate precision. She was younger than Rachel expected, maybe 40, athletic, with the kind of calm that came from absolute confidence. "You're supposed to be dead." "So I've heard." Rachel moved closer. "Sarah Chen, you're under arrest for treason, conspiracy to commit murder, and about 30 other charges I'll let the lawyers figure out." Chen smiled. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? A traitor who sold out her country for money. A pragmatist who understands that loyalty is a commodity. Chen leaned back in her chair. This country creates monsters like you, uses you until you break, then discards you. I simply found a way to profit from the process. 12 men died because of you, Rachel said. 12 men with families, with futures. You sold them like livestock. I provided intelligence to clients who paid well. What they did with it isn't my concern. Chen's eyes never left Rachel's face. Your scars, they're remarkable. 8 months, I heard. Most people break in days. I'm not most people. Clearly. Chen stood slowly, hands visible. You know this doesn't end with me. You know there are others. More powerful. More protected. Start naming them. Chen laughed, genuine amused. Or what you'll shoot me. A federal agent executing an unarmed woman in her home, that would be quite the scandal. I'm not a federal agent. I'm legally dead. Rachel's voice was ice. Which means shooting you would just be a ghost settling accounts. For the first time, something flickered in Chen's eyes. Not fear, respect. You really survived 8 months, Chen said quietly. That's not luck. That's not training. That's something else. That's knowing that if I died, you'd win. Couldn't let that happen. Martinez moved to Chen's desk, started photographing documents. Ma'am, you need to see this. Rachel glanced at the paper's operation names, casualty figures, payment schedules. All documented, all preserved. You kept records, Rachel said. You kept records of everything. Chen shrugged. Insurance. The people I work with have a habit of cleaning up loose ends. This ensures I don't become one. Then you're coming with us, voluntarily or unconscious. Your choice. Chen considered, then nodded. I'll cooperate. On one condition. You don't get conditions. You want the network, you want everyone involved, I can give you that. But I want immunity, full protection, new identity, the works. Rachel wanted to refuse, wanted to put this traitor in the ground and be done with it. But she thought about the 17 operations, the 243 casualties, the families still waiting for answers. We'll discuss terms in custody, she said. Turn around, hands behind your back. Chen complied. Martinez zip-tied her wrists. They were halfway to the stairs when alarm screamed. Panic room, Chen said calmly. I triggered it when I set down my teacup. Silent alarm. Private security will be here in 3 minutes. Real security, not the contractors out front. Rachel grabbed Chen, pushed her toward the stairs. Move, now! They hit the kitchen as the front door exploded inward. Not security military contractors with automatic weapons and orders to eliminate witnesses. Foster took point, returning fire. They're not securing, they're executing. Chen's insurance policy, Rachel realized. They're here to kill her before she talks. A grenade bounced into the kitchen. Rachel grabbed Chen, and Martinez hauled them behind the industrial refrigerator. The explosion ripped through the room. Foster went down shrapnel in the leg. Martinez dragged him toward cover while Rachel returned fire. 3 targets down the hallway. Professional. Coordinated. Back door! Rachel shouted. They ran for the garden, made it 10 feet before more shooters appeared from the tree line. Rachel pushed Chen down, stood over her, and started firing. Every shot a hit. Every hit buying them seconds. They're trying to kill their own asset, Martinez gasped. What the hell? Dead witnesses tell no stories, Rachel said. Chen, who sent them? I don't know, this isn't my protocol. A bullet took Chen in the shoulder. She screamed, went down. Rachel grabbed her, started dragging her toward the culvert. Derek, we need extraction now! Derek's voice crackled over radio. Front gates compromised, multiple hostiles. Then make a hole, Rachel fired blindly behind her. We're coming out. The next 60 seconds were chaos. Rachel, Martinez, and Foster dragging a wounded Chen through the drainage tunnel while bullets sparked off concrete. Derek and his team fighting through the front gate. Harrison calling in backup that wouldn't arrive in time. They emerged from the culvert into a firefight. Derek's team was pinned down. Foster couldn't walk. Chen was bleeding out. Martinez was down to his last magazine. Rachel assessed the situation in 2 seconds, made a decision that would haunt her. Derek, smoke grenades. Cover the street. Ma'am, do it now. Derek popped smoke. Gray clouds filled the street. Rachel grabbed Foster's rifle, set it to full auto, and stood up into the chaos. She fired into the smoke. Not at targets, at sounds, at muzzle flashes, at the geometry of where enemies had to be based on their last positions. And she walked forward. Walked straight into gunfire like death itself had gotten bored of waiting. Her rifle ran dry. She dropped it. Drew her pistol. Kept walking. Kept firing. She's insane, someone whispered. But it worked. The enemy shooters, faced with someone who moved like she welcomed bullets, broke, started retreating. By the time Rachel's pistol clicked empty, the street was quiet except for groans and sirens in the distance. She turned back to her team. Blood ran down her arm from a graze she hadn't felt. Everybody alive. Barely, Martinez said. What the hell was that? Something I learned in the cell. Rachel reloaded calmly. When they think you're broken, you fight like you've got nothing to lose. Because you don't. Derek stared at her. You just walked into a firefight like you were taking a stroll. I've had worse days. Rachel knelt beside Chen, started field dressing her wound. You still with me? Chen's face was pale, but her eyes were sharp. You're crazy. Probably. But you're alive. That means you talk. That means we burn this network down. Sirens got louder. Federal vehicles arrived, FBI marshals, enough alphabet agencies to start their own government. Harrison emerged from one of the trucks. What happened? Chen's own people tried to kill her, Rachel said, which means someone above her gave the order, someone who knew we were coming. Harrison's face went gray. That's impossible. Only 5 people knew about this operation. Then one of those 5 people is compromised. Rachel stood, her arm still bleeding. Or all 5 are. The implications hung in the air like smoke. Chen laughed, weak-pained. Now you understand. This isn't a conspiracy. It's an institution. It's how things work when loyalty becomes currency. Rachel looked at Harrison. Get her medical attention. Maximum security. Nobody gets access without your personal authorization. Not DOJ, not NSA, not even the president. Rachel, sir, with respect, we just got hit by a kill team minutes after arriving. Someone knew we were coming. Someone wanted Chen dead before she could talk. Until we know who, everyone's a suspect. Harrison wanted to argue. Couldn't. He nodded to his men. Do what she says. They loaded Chen into an armored ambulance. Rachel watched it drive away, her mind already running scenarios. Derek approached holding a medical kit. Your arm. She let him bandage the wound. I need you to do something for me. Name it. Go through those documents Martinez photographed. Cross-reference with my notebook. Look for patterns, operations that failed when specific people had access to planning. You think someone on Harrison's staff is dirty? I think someone with access to operational intelligence has been dirty for years. Could be staff, could be higher. Rachel's scarred face was grim. Could be Harrison himself. You don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. But wanting and knowing are different things. Rachel looked at the compound, at the bodies being covered with tarps, at the evidence of how deep this went. 3 years ago, I trusted everyone. 12 men died. I won't make that mistake again. Martinez joined them. Foster's gonna make it? Tough old bastard? Good. Rachel started walking toward the SUVs. Because we're going to need everyone we can trust. Which is who exactly? Martinez asked. Rachel thought about it. Really thought. You, Derek, maybe Foster. That's it. That's not much of an army. It's more than I had yesterday. Rachel climbed into an SUV. And sometimes small armies win big wars. They just have to be willing to sacrifice everything. She said it like someone who'd already made that sacrifice, already paid that price. Derek and Martinez exchanged looks, both thinking the same thing they'd signed up to hunt a traitor. Now they were hunting something bigger, something that might consume them all. But they got in the vehicle anyway, because Rachel Mitchell, Operator 7, the ghost sniper, the woman who survived 8 months of hell, was the kind of person you followed into darkness. Not because you weren't afraid, but because her darkness had depth that made yours seem shallow. They drove back toward the airfield in silence. Rachel stared out the window at Virginia suburbs, normal people living normal lives, unaware that somewhere in their government people sold their security like stocks. Her fingers started that counting rhythm again. Martinez noticed. What are you counting now? He asked. Rachel didn't look at him. Bodies. The ones already buried and the ones still to come. Because this doesn't end with Chen. She was middle management. The real architects, they're still out there, still selling, still killing. So what do we do? Rachel's reflection in the window showed something that might have been a smile. We become what they fear. We become the ghosts in their machine, the knife in the dark, the price they pay for treason. That sounds like revenge. No. Rachel turned to face him. Revenge is hot, personal. This is cold, professional. This is making sure what happened to my team never happens to anyone else's. That's not revenge. That's duty. Martinez wanted to believe her, wanted to think there was a difference between justice and vengeance when the scars ran that deep. But he'd seen her walk into gunfire like she welcomed death. And he wondered what came back from that cell 3 years ago. Wondered if the woman sitting beside him was Operator 7 or just the parts of her that refused to die. Either way, he was committed now. They all were. The hunt was just beginning, and somewhere in the shadows of power, someone was realizing that killing Rachel Mitchell had been their first mistake. Coming back was going to be their last. The secured facility where they held Chen looked like every other government building from the outside gray concrete narrow windows, absolutely forgettable. Inside was different. Inside was 3 levels underground with walls thick enough to survive a nuclear strike. Rachel stood outside the interrogation room, watching Chen through one-way glass. The woman sat calmly despite the shoulder wound, despite the restraints, despite knowing her own people had tried to kill her. That kind of calm came from either innocence or absolute certainty that she still held cards nobody knew about. She's been asking for you, Harrison said beside her. Won't talk to anyone else. She's buying time, waiting for extraction or elimination, whichever comes first. Rachel touched her own scars absently. How many people know she's here? 6. Yumi Derek Martinez Foster and the doctor who treated her wound. That's 5 too many. Rachel turned to face him. Sir, I need you to do something that's going to sound paranoid. After today, nothing sounds paranoid. Run background checks on everyone who had access to the Chen Operation Intel. And I mean everyone, your staff, your command chain. Check their financials going back 10 years, travel records, communication patterns, everything. Harrison's jaw tightened. You're talking about investigating general officers, people who've served for decades. I'm talking about finding out who sent that kill team. Because someone did. Someone with access to our operation gave Chen's people enough warning to set up an ambush. Rachel's voice was steady, but her eyes were hard. 12 men died 3 years ago. Because I trusted the wrong people, I won't make that mistake again. And if the investigation leads somewhere uncomfortable, then we follow it anyway. That's the job, sir. Harrison was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. I'll handle it personally. Quietly. Thank you. Rachel turned back to the glass. Now let me talk to her, see what cards she thinks she's holding. She entered the interrogation room alone. Chen looked up, that same unsettling calm on her face. Operator 7? Or should I call you Rachel? Call me whatever helps you sleep at night. Rachel sat down across from her. You said you'd cooperate. Start cooperating. I said I'd cooperate in exchange for immunity and protection. I don't see any paperwork. You see that shoulder wound? That's what your protection is worth. Your own people tried to kill you. Whoever you're protecting, they've already decided you're expendable. Rachel leaned forward. So talk. Give me names. Give me everything. That's your only play now. Chen smiled, thin, calculated. You really think it's that simple? You think I give you a list, and suddenly the whole network collapses? I think you give me something useful, or you spend the rest of your life in a cell wondering when they'll finally succeed in killing you. They won't kill me, not if I'm in custody. I'm too valuable as a potential witness. As long as I might talk, they have to keep me alive. Rachel studied her. You've thought about this. Planned for it. This isn't panic, this is strategy. I've been playing this game for 8 years. You think I didn't prepare for capture? Chen's eyes glittered. I have files, evidence, recordings. Enough to bring down half the intelligence community. All safely stored where only I can access them. Dead man's switch. Insurance policy. And it's better than any immunity deal you could offer because it guarantees my survival whether you cooperate or not. Rachel sat back. You're bluffing. Am I? Then walk away. See what happens when my next scheduled check-in doesn't occur. See whose secrets end up on WikiLeaks. They stared at each other across the table. Two women who'd both learned that survival meant being willing to burn everything down. What do you want? Rachel asked finally. I want out, complete immunity, new identity, relocation somewhere without extradition, and a guarantee that nobody comes looking for me ever again. In exchange for what? Everything. The whole network. Every name, every operation, every dollar that's changed hands. Chen leaned forward, chains rattling. I'll give you the people who ordered your team killed. I'll give you the people who sent that kill team today. I'll give you everything you need to burn it all down. Including who's above you. Chen's smile faded. Including that. Rachel wanted to refuse, wanted to tell this traitor that she'd get nothing but a cell and silence. But she thought about the 17 failed operations, the 243 casualties, the families still waiting for justice. I'll talk to the DOJ, see what they're willing to offer. Not DOJ, they're compromised. Half of them are on the payroll. Chen's voice dropped. You want this to work? You keep it small. You, Harrison, and whoever you absolutely trust. Nobody else. Because the moment this goes through official channels, I'm dead, and so are you. Rachel stood. I'll be back. Rachel. Chen's voice stopped her at the door. That cell you were in, the one where they carved their initials into your back. I didn't order that. I sold intelligence, not torture protocols. What they did to you, that was personal. Someone wanted you to suffer. Rachel's hand tightened on the doorknob. Who? Give me immunity, and I'll tell you everything, including why they wanted you broken instead of just dead. Rachel left without answering. In the observation room, Harrison waited with Derek and Martinez. "She's got a dead man's switch," Rachel said. "Claims she has files that'll expose the whole network if she doesn't check in regularly." "Could be a bluff," Derek said. "Could be, but we can't risk it." Rachel rubbed her scarred face. "She wants full immunity, new identity, complete protection." Harrison swore. "The Attorney General will never authorize that, not for treason of this magnitude." "Then we don't go through the AG. We don't go through anyone who might be compromised." Rachel looked at him. "Sir, I need you to make a decision. We can do this by the book file reports, follow protocols, watch Chen disappear into the system while the investigation gets buried. Or we do this my way. Small team, no paper trail. We get what we need and worry about legality later." "You're talking about going off the grid." "I'm talking about getting justice for 243 casualties. Whatever that takes." Martinez shifted uncomfortably. "That's a court-martial if it goes wrong. That's prison for all of us." "Then we don't let it go wrong." Rachel's voice was steel. "I've spent 3 years preparing for this. I know every angle, every risk. We can do this clean or we can do it right. But we can't do both." Harrison looked at each of them, Rachel with her scars and her certainty, Derek with his newfound loyalty, Martinez with his conscience already bothering him. "If we do this," Harrison said slowly, "there's no going back. We're committed until the end." "I've been committed since they started carving letters into my spine," Rachel said. "Question is whether you are." Harrison took a deep breath. "What do you need?" "A secure location. Somewhere we can debrief Chen without surveillance. Somewhere off the books." Rachel pulled out her worn notebook. "I've got a safe house in West Virginia. Abandoned NSA listening post. No official records, no satellite coverage. Nobody knows it exists except me." "How did you find it?" "I found a lot of things while I was supposed to be dead. Turns out ghosts can go places the living can't." Rachel flipped through her notebook. "We move Chen there tonight. Small team, just us 4 plus Foster when he's mobile. We debrief her, get everything she knows, then decide how to move forward. And if someone tracks us, then we find out who's tracking us and add them to the list." Rachel's scarred face showed no hesitation. "This is happening, sir. Question is whether you're leading it or I'm doing it alone." Derek spoke up. "She won't be alone?" "I'm in." "Me too," Martinez said, though his voice carried less certainty. Harrison looked at them all, looked at Rachel especially, this woman who'd survived hell and come back harder. "You really think we can do this? Just the 5 of us against a network that's been operating for years? 5 is more than I had yesterday, and yesterday I was still just a translator they mocked." Rachel's eyes were cold fire. "Today, I'm Operator 7, and I'm very good at my job." Harrison nodded slowly. "Then we do it your way. But if this goes wrong, it won't. If it does, I take full responsibility. You 4 were following my orders. That's the story. With respect, sir, that's not how this works. We're all in, or we're all out." Rachel extended her hand. "Equal risk, equal responsibility, equal reward when we burn these bastards down." Harrison shook her hand. Then Derek, then Martinez. "God help us all," Martinez muttered. They moved Chen that night in an unmarked van with tinted windows. Rachel drove Harrison rode shotgun, Derek and Martinez flanked Chen in the back. Foster would join them once he was cleared from medical. "Where are we going?" Chen asked. "Somewhere you can talk freely," Rachel said. "Somewhere your friends can't find you." "You think moving me makes me safer?" "They have resources you can't imagine." "So do I. And mine include 3 years of learning how to disappear." Rachel's eyes found Chen's in the rear-view mirror. You wanted to deal. We're dealing. But on my terms, in my space, where I control everything. They drove through the night into West Virginia mountains. The safe house appeared suddenly a concrete bunker built into a hillside camouflaged so well it was invisible until you were on top of it. Rachel parked, killed the engine. Home sweet home. And inside was sparse but functional old communications equipment, bunks, supplies that looked military surplus. Rachel had clearly been here before. Often. You lived here, Chen said, while you were gathering evidence. Sometimes, when I needed to disappear completely. Rachel secured the door behind them. Sit. Chen sat. The others formed a loose circle around her. Start talking, Rachel said. Everything, beginning to end. And if I think you're holding back, this gets unpleasant. Chen looked at each of them, then started talking. It started 8 years ago. I was junior analyst at NSA when someone approached me. Never got a name. Never saw a face. Just encrypted messages offering money for classified information. Small stuff at first, troop movements, patrol schedules. Nothing that seemed critical. But it escalated, Harrison said. Always does. The money got better. The requests got bigger. Before I knew it, I was in so deep there was no getting out. They had evidence of everything I'd done. One word to the FBI, and my life was over. So you kept going, Rachel said. Kept selling. I rationalized it. Told myself the information wasn't that sensitive. That I was just one cog in a big machine. That what I did didn't really matter. Chen's voice dropped. Then your team died, and I realized it did matter. People were dying because of what I sold. But you didn't stop, Derek said, his voice hard. I couldn't. By then I was too valuable. They made it clear, keep working or get exposed. So I kept working, kept selling, kept telling myself I'd find a way out eventually. Rachel leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Who approached you? Who ran you? I told you I never knew names. Everything was encrypted. Dead drops. Cryptocurrency payments. I only met my handler face-to-face twice in 8 years. Describe him. Older. Military bearing. Silver hair. Spoke like someone used to giving orders. Chen closed her eyes, remembering. He had a ring. Academy ring, I think. Class of 1989. Harrison's face went pale. West Point class of 89. That's my class. Rachel looked at him sharply. How many officers from your class have access to operational intelligence? Dozens. Maybe more if you count intelligence community civilians who went through ROTC. We need to narrow it down. Chen, what else? Any distinguishing features, speech patterns? Anything, Chen thought. He had a scar. Here. She touched her left temple. Thin line, like shrapnel. Derek straightened. That's descriptive. We can work with that. There's more, Chen said. The operation that killed your team, he was excited about that one. Said it was personal. Said someone needed to learn that loyalty had limits. Rachel's hands clenched into fists. Personal, how? He didn't elaborate. But the way he said it, someone on your team pissed him off. Someone he wanted punished. Chen looked directly at Rachel. I think he wanted you specifically. Wanted you captured. Wanted you broken. Why, I don't know. But when word came back that you'd been taken alive, he seemed satisfied. Like that was the goal all along. The room went silent. Rachel's breathing was controlled, but her eyes showed something dangerous. Martinez spoke carefully. Ma'am, if someone set up your team just to capture you, then this isn't about money. This is about revenge. Rachel's voice was steady but cold. Someone wanted me to suffer. Wanted me broken. Wanted me to know that loyalty meant nothing. Who did you piss off that badly? Derek asked. Rachel was quiet. Then, I testified against a superior officer 7 years ago, Colonel Marcus Reeves. He was selling equipment to contractors who resold it to insurgents. I had proof. I reported it. He got dishonorably discharged. Harrison's eyes widened. Marcus Reeves. That was you. He was stealing from soldiers who needed that equipment, getting them killed with substandard gear while he pocketed millions. Rachel's jaw tightened. I did my duty. Reeves had friends, powerful friends, people who thought he got railroaded. Harrison ran a hand through his hair. If he's involved in this, we need to find him. Rachel turned to Chen. Was Reeves your handler? I told you I never knew names, but the timeline fits, and the personal vendetta fits. Chen leaned forward. There's something else. The kill team that came after us today. That wasn't standard protocol. That was panic. Someone very important got very scared very fast. Because we have you, Martinez said. Because they know what I can give you. I'm not just a source, I'm the map to their entire operation. Every dead drop, every payment, every person involved. Chen's eyes were intense. You want to bring them down, I can do that. But we need to move fast. Because right now they're cleaning house, destroying evidence, eliminating loose ends. How much time do we have? Harrison asked. Days, maybe less. They'll assume I've already started talking. They'll be erasing everything they can. Rachel pushed off the wall. Then we work fast. Chen, you're going to give us everything. Every name you remember, every location, every transaction. We document all of it. And then what? Then we verify it, cross-reference with my 3 years of evidence, build a case so airtight that not even the most corrupt prosecutor can bury it. That'll take weeks. We don't have weeks. We have hours. Rachel pulled out her laptop. Start talking. I'll start recording. They worked through the night. Chen talked. Rachel typed. Harrison cross-referenced with classified databases he probably shouldn't have accessed. Derek and Martinez verified what they could, flagging inconsistencies. By dawn, they had something. Not complete. Not perfect. But enough. 17 names. 12 active operations. $8 million in traced payments. And one name that kept appearing in the margins of everything: Marcus Reeves. He's the architect, Rachel said, staring at the screen. Everything flows through him. Chen was just one asset in a network he's been building for years. We need to bring him in, Harrison said. He'll be expecting that. The moment we move on him, he'll disappear. Rachel pulled up a military database. Where is he now? Harrison checked. His face went gray. He's at the Pentagon. Civilian contractor position. Strategic planning. Of course he is. Right in the heart of military intelligence where he can access everything. Rachel's laugh was bitter. We gave him the keys to the kingdom. So what do we do? Derek asked. We can't just walk into the Pentagon and arrest someone. Rachel was quiet, thinking. Then, we don't arrest him. We confront him. Get him to talk. Make him think he's still in control. That's risky. Everything about this is risky. But it's the only play we have. Rachel looked at Harrison. Sir, can you get me into the Pentagon quietly? For what purpose? To have a conversation with an old friend. Remind him that some ghosts don't stay buried. Harrison studied her. You're planning something. I'm planning to make him nervous. Nervous people make mistakes. Mistakes give us evidence. Rachel's scarred face was determined. He wanted me broken. Wanted me to suffer. Time to show him what breaking me actually accomplished. You're using yourself as bait. I'm using myself as a reminder that his revenge failed. That I'm still here, still hunting. Rachel stood. Set up the meeting. Tell him it's about contractor fraud. Tell him it's routine. Get me in that room with him and I'll do the rest. And if he tries to kill you, then we'll have proof he's involved. Either way, We win. Martinez shook his head. This is crazy. This whole situation is crazy, Rachel said. But we're committed now. We follow it to the end. She looked around at them, Harrison with his moral conflict written on his face, Derek with his newfound loyalty, Martinez with his obvious discomfort, Chen with her calculated self-interest. This was her team. Broken pieces that somehow fit together. Not ideal, not pretty, but functional. Get some sleep, she told them. All of you. Tomorrow we walk into the Pentagon and start a war. We're already in a war, Derek said. No. Rachel's smile was cold. Tomorrow we take the war to them. Big difference. She walked outside into the early morning light. The mountains were peaceful, quiet, beautiful in that way that made you forget the world had darkness in it. Martinez followed her out. You okay? Define okay. Fair point. He stood beside her. For what it's worth, I think you're right. About all of it. This network needs to burn. But I'm worried you're going to burn yourself up doing it. You've got that look. That kamikaze look. Rachel was quiet. Then, I died 3 years ago in that cell. Everything since then has been borrowed time. If I burn up ending this, that's not sacrifice. That's just finishing what they started. That's a really depressing way to look at survival. That's a realistic way to look at it. Rachel touched her scars. I'm not suicidal, Martinez, but I'm not afraid to die either. There's a difference. And that difference makes me dangerous to people who think death is the ultimate threat. What about after? What happens if we actually win? If we burn the network down and come out alive? Rachel looked at him. I haven't thought that far ahead. Maybe you should. Maybe. She turned back toward the safe house. But first we have to survive tomorrow. One problem at a time. Inside, Chen watched them through the window. Harrison sat beside her, reviewing files on his tablet. She's going to get herself killed, Chen said. Probably, Harrison agreed. And you're going to let her. I'm going to support her. There's a difference. Harrison looked up. You don't know her story. Don't know what she survived. She's earned the right to finish this, however she chooses. Even if it kills her, even then. Harrison's voice was firm. Some debts can only be paid in blood. She's owed that payment for 3 years. I won't stop her from collecting. Chen nodded slowly. You care about her. Really care. She was the best operator I ever commanded. Saved more lives than anyone will ever know. When she was declared KIA, I lost something. A daughter, maybe. A belief that good people could survive bad situations. Harrison's eyes were distant. Finding out she survived? That she's been fighting this whole time, it gives me hope that maybe we haven't lost everything. Hope is expensive in our business. So is despair. I'd rather pay for hope. They sat in silence. Outside, dawn continued to break over the mountains. Inside, a scarred woman prepared to walk into the Pentagon and confront the man who'd tried to destroy her. Tomorrow would bring answers. Or blood. Or both. But either way, the hunt was accelerating. The end game was approaching. And Rachel Mitchell Operator 7, the ghost sniper who refused to die, was about to remind everyone why ghosts were feared. Because ghosts didn't forget, didn't forgive, and didn't stop until the haunting was done. The Pentagon looked exactly like power should, massive, imposing, designed to remind everyone who entered that they were walking into the beating heart of American military might. Rachel walked through security with borrowed credentials that identified her as a DoD analyst. Harrison had arranged it. The guards barely looked at her scarred face. You're clear, one said, waving her through. Derek and Martinez waited in a coffee shop 3 blocks away, monitoring communications. Harrison was already inside, setting the stage. Rachel was alone for this part. Had to be. Reeves wouldn't talk if he felt outnumbered. She took the elevator to the 3rd floor, walked down corridors that smelled like government coffee paper, the faint scent of ambition. Found the office marked Strategic Planning Consultation. Knocked once. Didn't wait for an answer. Walked in. Marcus Reeves sat behind a desk covered in reports and tablets. He looked up annoyed at the interruption and froze. For 3 seconds, neither of them spoke. Just stared at each other across 7 years and an ocean of betrayal. "Hello, Colonel," Rachel said. "Or is it just Marcus now? I forget what they call you after a dishonorable discharge." Reeves recovered quickly. His face shifted from shock to calculation. "Rachel Mitchell, I heard you were dead." "You heard wrong." She closed the door behind her. Locked it. "Seems to be a common problem with your intelligence. What are you doing here?" "Having a conversation. You remember those? We used to have them before you decided selling equipment to insurgents was more profitable than integrity." Reeves leaned back in his chair, hands visible on the desk. Smart. He knew what she was. That was 7 years ago. Ancient history. History has a way of catching up. Rachel moved closer but stayed out of reach, especially when it involves treason and murder. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. Sarah Chen, Deputy Director Rogers, a network that's been selling operational intelligence for years." Rachel's voice was steady. "A network that got my team killed 3 years ago. That ring any bells?" Something flickered in Reeves' eyes. Not surprise. Recognition. "You've been busy." "I had time. 8 months in a cell gives you lots of time to think, to plan, to remember who might want you dead badly enough to orchestrate an ambush." Rachel touched her scars. These were a message from you. Weren't they?" Reeves said nothing, but his silence was answer enough. "You wanted me broken," Rachel continued. "Wanted me to suffer. Not just die that would have been too quick. You wanted me destroyed. Payment for testifying against you. You ruined my life. You ruined your own life. I just documented it." Rachel's hands stayed loose at her sides. Ready. But you couldn't accept that. Couldn't accept that your greed got you caught. So you decided to punish the messenger. "You self-righteous bitch." Reeves's calm cracked. "You stood there in that hearing and destroyed me. 30 years of service. Gone. My reputation. Gone. My pension. My future. Everything I'd built, you took it all. You took it yourself when you started stealing. I took what I was owed. Do you know what they pay colonels? What they pay after 30 years of getting shot at?" Reeves stood hands flat on the desk. "I watched contractors get rich. Watched politicians get rich. Watched everyone profit from the war except the people actually fighting it. So yes, I found a way to get my share. And you destroyed me for it. Your share got soldiers killed, equipment failures in the field because you sold them substandard gear." Rachel's voice was ice. "How many, Marcus? How many men died so you could buy a bigger house? Acceptable losses in the larger picture. Tell that to their families." Reeves laughed, bitter, angry. "You want to talk about families, you want to talk about what you cost me. My wife left. My kids won't speak to me. I went from colonel to pariah overnight. All because you couldn't mind your own business. Stopping treason is my business. And look where that got you." Reeves gestured at her scars. 8 months of torture, your entire team dead. Was it worth it? Was your precious integrity worth all that pain? Rachel moved closer. "Every second. Because I'm still here. Still fighting. Still hunting. And you," she smiled, cold. You're about to lose everything all over again. Reeves's hand moved toward a desk drawer. Rachel was faster across the desk, hand clamping on his wrist before he could reach whatever weapon he kept there. "Don't," she said softly. "I survived things you can't imagine. You really think a desk gun scares me?" They stood frozen, her hand on his wrist, both of them measuring the other. "Let go," Reeves said. "Answer my questions first. The network, who else is involved? Who's above you? You think I'd tell you even if I knew? I think you're smart enough to recognize when you're caught. Chen's already talking. Rogers is already talking. We have documentation going back 8 years. We have transaction records. We have everything." Rachel's grip tightened. "The only question is whether you cooperate or go down alone. Your choice." Reeves stared at her, then laughed. "You have nothing. Chen's a known liar. Rogers is a middleman who knows nothing. And your documentation, good luck proving any of it in court with your damaged credibility." "Who said anything about court?" Rachel released his wrist. "I'm not here for justice, Marcus. I'm here for information. There's a difference." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I spent 3 years learning to operate outside the system, learning that sometimes the law is too slow, too compromised, too willing to protect powerful people." Rachel backed toward the door. "So I'm giving you one chance. One. Tell me who you report to. Tell me who runs this network. Do that, and maybe you survive what's coming. And if I don't, then you become a cautionary tale about what happens when you betray your own." Rachel unlocked the door. "Think about it. You've got 24 hours. After that, I stop asking nicely." She left, closing the door behind her. In the hallway, her hands shook adrenaline rage, the effort of not putting Reeves through the desk. She breathed slowly, counting, letting the violence ebb. Harrison appeared from around the corner. "Well, he's involved, definitely involved, but he's scared of something more than me." Rachel started walking. Whoever's above him, they've got leverage. Something that makes him more afraid of talking than of going to prison. Family. Maybe. Or maybe they just have a longer reach than we do. Rachel pulled out her phone, texted Derek. "Phase 2. Start monitoring Reeves. Every call, every email, every person he contacts." They exited the Pentagon into afternoon sun. Rachel felt exposed out here, too many angles, too many places for a sniper to set up. Old habits from old wars. "You think he'll run?" Harrison asked. "I think he'll panic. Panic makes people sloppy. Sloppy makes them contactable." Rachel headed from the parking garage. "Now we wait and watch." They didn't have to wait long. 4 hours later, Derek called. "He's moving. Just left the Pentagon in a private vehicle, not his usual car." "Follow him," Rachel said. "Stay back. Professional distance." "Copy that." Rachel and Harrison monitored from the safe house, watching Derek's GPS tracker follow Reeves through DC traffic into Maryland suburbs. The route was erratic, doubling back, taking side streets, checking for tails. "He knows tradecraft," Harrison observed. "He's military intelligence. Of course he does." Rachel pulled up satellite feeds. "But he's rusty. He's checking the usual spots, not thinking about overhead surveillance." Martinez's voice came through comms. "He's stopping. Looks like a park. Sending coordinates." Rachel checked the location. "That's a meet. Has to be. Derek, how many people in the park?" "Scanning now. I count maybe 20. Joggers, families, normal park stuff. Wait, there's a guy on the bench. Silver hair. Reading a newspaper. Nobody reads physical newspapers anymore." "That's the contact." Rachel grabbed her jacket. "We need eyes on that conversation." "I can get closer," Derek offered. "Negative? Too risky. Martinez, you're more civilian looking. Get in there. Act like you're exercising. Get close enough to hear." "On it." They listened to Martinez's breathing as he jogged into position. The comms picked up ambient sound, children playing traffic birds, then voices. Reeves and someone else. "Told you not to contact me directly," the other voice said. Older, authoritative, definitely military bearing. "She came to my office. Rachel Mitchell. She's alive and she knows everything." A pause. "Impossible. Mitchell's been confirmed KIA for 3 years." "Well, she's got a hell of a ghost because she walked into my Pentagon office this afternoon." Reeves sounded panicked. "She knows about Chen, about Rogers, about the network. She gave me 24 hours to cooperate." "Calm down. Mitchell's one operator with a vendetta. She's not a threat." "She survived 8 months of interrogation without breaking. She built a case over 3 years while pretending to be a translator. She just walked into the most secure building in DC and threatened me. That sounds like a threat." Another pause. Longer this time. "What exactly did she say? That she has documentation, evidence, that Chen and Rogers are talking, that we're all compromised?" "Chen and Rogers know nothing about me. About us." The voice was cold now. "They're insulated, compartmentalized. Mitchell's fishing. She had my service record, knew about my discharge, connected it to the ambush." Reeves's voice dropped. "She knows it was personal, knows I wanted her captured, not killed. That was your mistake. I told you to eliminate the entire team cleanly. You let revenge complicate operational objectives. I wanted her to suffer, and now she's back and we have a problem." A rustling sound, maybe the newspaper being folded. "Where is she now?" "I don't know. She disappeared after our meeting." "Find her. Use whatever resources you need, and this time eliminate her properly. No torture, no games, just a bullet and an unmarked grave." "What about Harrison?" "She's working with him." "Harrison's a true believer. He won't bend. So he breaks. Arrange an accident. Traffic, heart attack. Something clean." Martinez's breathing stayed steady, but Rachel could hear the tension. He was listening to them plan murders like they were discussing lunch orders. "I'll need authorization," Reeves said. "Resources. This isn't something I can do alone." "You'll have what you need by tonight. And Reeves, don't fail again. I'm running out of patience with your mistakes." "Who are you to—" "I'm the person who kept you out of prison. Who gave you this position? Who's protected you for 7 years? The voice turned to steel. "Cross me, and you'll discover that prison would have been mercy. Are we clear?" "Yes, sir." Footsteps. The silver-haired man walking away. Martinez waited 30 seconds, then spoke into his comm. "Did you get all that?" "Every word," Rachel said. "Derek, follow silver hair. I need an ID." "On it. He's heading to a black sedan. Government plates. Running them now." Rachel waited, counting seconds. Her fingers did that rhythm against her leg. "Got it," Derek said. "Vehicle is registered to Executive Intelligence Services. That's a front company. Cross-referencing with Chen's files. Holy shit." "What?" "The company's owned by a shell corp that traces back to retired General William Ashford, Chief of Staff. One of the most powerful men in the military." Harrison's face went white. "Ashford?" "That's impossible. He's a legend. 40 years of service, Medal of Honor. He wouldn't—" "He's also West Point class of 1989, Rachel said, pulling up his file. "Silver hair, military bearing. And according to his service record, he has a shrapnel scar on his left temple from Desert Storm." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. "Ashford's been running this network for years," Rachel continued. "Using his position to access operational intelligence. Selling it through cutouts like Chen and Rogers. Getting rich while soldiers died." She looked at Harrison. "And we just heard him order hits on both of us." Harrison sat heavily. "If Ashford's involved, this goes deeper than we thought. He has access to everything, every operation, every classified program. If he's been selling that information, then we're talking about the biggest intelligence breach in American history. Martinez finished rejoining them at the safe house. What do we do? Rachel was quiet, thinking. Then, we do what we planned. We gather evidence. We build a case. And we make sure when we move, it's checkmate, not just check. How do we prove it? How do we connect Ashford to the network? Chen already gave us part of it. Her files have payments traced to shell companies. We just need to connect those companies to Ashford. Rachel opened her laptop. Derek, I need you to hack into Executive Intelligence Services. Get their financial records. That's a federal crime. Add it to the list. We're already operating off the books. Might as well commit to the bit. Derek nodded, fingers already flying across his keyboard. This is going to take a few hours. Their security is serious. We've got time. Reeves said they need until tonight to get resources in place. That gives us maybe 6 hours before they come for us. Rachel turned to Harrison. Sir, I need you to contact every person you trust completely. Tell them to go dark. Turn off phones. Change locations. Anyone connected to this operation is a target now. Including you, especially me. But I've been a target before. I know how to survive it. How to. Rachel checked her weapons pistol knife backup magazines. Martinez, check our perimeter, motion sensors, cameras, anything that might give us early warning. You really think they'll come here? I think Ashford didn't get to be chief of staff by being stupid. He'll figure out we're off the grid. He'll send people to find us, and when they come, we need to be ready. They worked through the afternoon into evening. Derek broke into Executive Intelligence Services systems, downloaded everything. Martinez set up defensive positions around the safe house. Harrison made calls warning people, setting contingencies. Rachel sat with Chen going through files, connecting dots. You knew, Rachel said. When you were talking before, you knew it was Ashford? I suspected. Never confirmed. Chen looked tired, older than her years. He's careful. Never directly communicates. Everything through intermediaries. But the patterns were there if you looked. Why didn't you say something? Would you have believed me accusing a 4-star general of treason without proof? Chen shook her head. You'd have thought I was deflecting, trying to save myself by throwing out impossible accusations. But now we have proof. Now you have fragments, pieces, enough to build a case if you can connect them all. Chen met Rachel's eyes. But even with proof going after Ashford, that's suicide. He has protection at the highest levels. People who owe him. People who benefit from his network. Then we make the evidence so public he can't be protected. We leak it. Put it everywhere. Make it impossible to bury. That'll start a war. Inside the government. Inside the military. You'll tear apart institutions. Those institutions are already torn. We're just showing people the damage. Rachel's voice was hard. This ends, one way or another, even if it costs everything. Derek called out from his computer station. Got something. Ashford's shell companies have been receiving payments from foreign accounts. Millions. And the timing matches every major intelligence leak over the past 8 years. That's the connection, Harrison said. That proves he's compromised. It proves financial irregularities. To prove treason, we need more. Rachel stood paced. We need to catch him in the act. Recording him ordering something explicitly illegal. We already have him ordering hits on you and Harrison. From a park bench conversation recorded without warrant. Any lawyer would get that thrown out. Rachel's mind raced. We need something airtight. Something even corrupt prosecutors can't ignore. Martinez appeared at the door. We've got movement. 3 vehicles approaching from the access road. Professional. Tactical formation. How long? 5 minutes. Maybe less. Rachel grabbed her rifle. Positions, everyone. This is happening now." They moved fast. Derek to the communications station, Martinez and Harrison to firing positions, Chen secured in the interior room, Rachel at the main entrance. The vehicles stopped 200 meters out. Doors opened. Men in tactical gear emerged, 6 of them weapons ready, moving like they'd done this 1,000 times. Rachel watched through her scope. Private military contractors, probably former special operations. Ashford didn't send amateurs. "What's the play?" Martinez asked. "We defend, make them commit, force them to communicate with their handler. Derek, you're recording everything they transmit, right? Already on it. If they radio Ashford, we'll have it." The contractors advanced in pairs using cover-checking angles. Professional. Dangerous. Rachel let them get within 50 meters, then fired a warning shot that sparked off a rock beside the lead man's head. They all dropped, taking cover. "Federal agents!" Rachel shouted. "You're trespassing on a military installation. Identify yourselves." No response, just movement. They were flanking, trying to surround the safe house. "Not going to work," Rachel muttered. She fired again, this time closer. "Last warning. Withdraw, or we engage," a voice called back. "We're here for Rachel Mitchell. Send her out and nobody else gets hurt." "How about you tell me who sent you?" Rachel replied. "You know who. Don't make this difficult." "Difficult is my specialty." She fired not a warning this time. The round took the speaker in the shoulder, spinning him down. The others opened fire. Bullets tore into the safe house walls. Martinez and Harrison returned fire from their positions. The contractors found cover, settled into a firefight. "Derek, they transmitting?" Rachel asked, chambering another round. "Yeah, got it. They're calling for support. Wait, they're talking to someone. Encrypted channel, but I'm breaking it. There, it's Ashford. He's giving them orders directly. Record it, every word." Rachel fired methodically, keeping the contractors pinned. They were good, but she was better. Every shot made them respect her angles, limited their movement. One tried to flank left. Rachel put a round through his knee. He went down screaming. "Jesus," Martinez breathed. "She's not even aiming for kills." "She's sending a message," Harrison said. "She wants them to retreat, not die." But the contractors kept coming. Orders from above, outweighing self-preservation. Rachel dropped 2 more leg shots, shoulder shots, wounds that stopped without killing. The remaining 3 finally broke, dragging their wounded back to the vehicles. "Ashford," one of them shouted into his radio. "Mitchell's dug in professional defensive position. We need real support here." Ashford's voice came through Derek's speakers, crackling but clear. "I don't pay you to make excuses. Eliminate her. Use whatever force necessary." "Sir, with respect, she just dropped half our team without killing anyone. She's showing restraint, we're not." "If we escalate." "I said eliminate her. Those are your orders. Disobey, and you're all finished." The contractors looked at each other, made a decision. The engines started. Vehicles reversed away. "They're leaving," Martinez said, disbelief in his voice. "They're soldiers," Rachel said. "Even contracted ones. They know wrong orders when they hear them. Ashford just lost his attack dogs." Derek was grinning. "And I got every second of it. Ashford explicitly ordering hits on federal assets, threatening contractors for not committing murder. This is gold." "This is checkmate," Rachel corrected. She lowered her rifle, suddenly exhausted. "Harrison, make the calls. It's time to bring down a general." Harrison moved to the communications station, started making calls to people he trusted, to Inspector General, to FBI counterintelligence, to senators on intelligence committees. While he talked, Rachel sat down, her hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Martinez brought her water. "You okay?" he asked. "Define okay." "You were incredible out there. 5 contractors and you dropped them without killing anyone." "I've had enough death," Rachel said quietly. "Those men were following orders. Wrong orders, but orders. They didn't deserve to die for Ashford's crimes. That's the difference between you and people like him. You still see the humanity. Don't canonize me, Martinez. I did what was necessary. That's all. Chen appeared from the interior room. Is it over? Not yet, but soon. Rachel looked at her. You kept your end of the deal. Gave us everything. What happens to you now is up to them. Will they honor the immunity agreement? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a ghost who refused to stay dead. Rachel stood. But I'll testify that you cooperated, that you provided critical intelligence. That should count for something. Harrison finished his calls. It's done. FBI's moving on Ashford now. Inspector General is launching investigations. Senate Intelligence Committee is calling emergency hearings. He looked at Rachel. You did it. You actually did it. We did it. All of us. Rachel looked around at her unlikely team. Couldn't have happened without each of you. Derek disconnected from his systems. I've uploaded everything to secure servers, multiple copies, cloud storage, physical drives. Even if they try to bury this, it's out there now. Good. Rachel moved toward the door. I need air. She walked outside into twilight. The mountains were peaceful again, the gunfire already fading into memory. Martinez joined her after a moment. What happens now? He asked. Trials, investigations, years of legal warfare. Rachel touched her scars. People trying to minimize damage, protect institutions, bury what they can. But you got him. You got Ashford. You got justice for your team. Justice is a word lawyers use. What I got was accountability. Not the same thing. Rachel looked at him. My team's still dead. The family's still hurt. The operation still failed. Nothing changes that. But you stopped it from happening to others. That counts. Maybe. Rachel was quiet. I spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Thought it would feel different. Thought there'd be, I don't know, satisfaction, closure, something. And there's just tired, just empty, just the knowledge that tomorrow I have to figure out who I am when I'm not hunting anymore. She smiled, sad, broken. Turns out revenge and justice feel exactly the same when they're finished. Just hollow. Then what do you do? Rachel thought about it. Really thought. I find a new mission. Because that's what soldiers do. We find the next fight. The next wrong that needs righting. We keep going until we can't anymore. That sounds exhausting. That sounds like purpose. Rachel turned back toward the safe house. Come on, let's finish this. Inside, Harrison was coordinating with federal agents. Plans for arrests, evidence transfer, protection details for witnesses. Ashford's in custody, he announced. FBI took him at his home 30 minutes ago. They're securing his files now, everything. Rachel nodded. Felt nothing. No triumph. No relief. Just tired. Ma'am, Derek said. There's something else. In Ashford's communications, he referenced another operation. Something called Widow Protocol. He told someone to activate it if he was arrested. Rachel's exhaustion evaporated. What's Widow Protocol? I don't know, but it scared the person he was talking to. Really scared them. Rachel looked at Harrison. We need to find out what that is. Now. I'll make calls. No time. If it's a dead man's switch, it's already activating. Rachel grabbed her jacket. Chen, what's Widow Protocol? Chen's face was pale. I've heard of it. Never details. But it's insurance. Final insurance. If the network falls, Widow Protocol releases everything. Every operation. Every agent. Every source. Everything that keeps people safe. He's going to burn the entire intelligence community, Harrison said. Expose everyone to save himself. Not to save himself, to punish everyone else. Rachel's mind raced. Where would he store that information? Where's it secured? I don't know. Somewhere he controls absolutely. Somewhere even federal agents can't access quickly. Derek's fingers flew across his keyboard. Working on it. Cross-referencing Ashford's property's financial records. Got something. He owns a private server farm in rural Virginia, registered under one of his shell companies. Completely off-grid. That's where he'd store something like Widow Protocol. How long until FBI can secure it? Hours, maybe more. It's remote-hardened, probably has automated defenses. Then we go now. Right now. Rachel grabbed weapons, started gearing up. Before Widow Protocol goes active and ruins thousands of lives. Rachel, you can't just assault a private facility, Harrison started. Watch me. She looked at Derek and Martinez. You two with me. Always, Derek said. Martinez nodded. Let's finish this. They loaded into vehicles, drove through darkness toward Ashford's server farm. Rachel felt it again, that sense of purpose of mission, the hollow feeling replaced by something sharp and necessary. This is it, she said to no one in particular. Last mission, last ghost to hunt. Then maybe I can rest. Maybe, Martinez echoed. But they both knew the truth. Soldiers like Rachel Mitchell didn't rest. They just found new battles, new wrongs, new purposes. Because that's what survivors did. They survived. And kept surviving. Until they couldn't anymore. The server farm appeared in their headlights, concrete bunker, razor wire cameras everywhere. Exactly what you'd expect from someone hiding apocalyptic secrets. Rachel checked her rifle one more time. Here we go again. And into the darkness they went chasing ghosts one more time. Because ghosts never rested. And neither did the people who hunted them. The server farm's perimeter fence was industrial grade, but Rachel had breached worse in darker places with less equipment. She pulled wire cutters from her pack and started working on a section hidden from camera angles. Derek covered her while Martinez monitored their approach route. FBI's 20 minutes out, Martinez whispered. We're really doing this without backup. Backup means jurisdiction arguments and warrant delays, Rachel said, snipping through the final wire. Widow Protocol doesn't wait for paperwork. They slipped through the gap into grounds that felt more like a military installation than a data center. Motion sensors, pressure plates, automated response systems Ashford had prepared for intrusion. But he'd prepared for conventional assault, not for someone who'd spent 3 years studying his patterns. Security hub is northwest corner, Derek said, checking the blueprints he'd pulled from county records. We take that we control the cameras and alarms. Rachel nodded, moving low and fast across open ground. Her body remembered this, the crouch run of moving through hostile territory, the constant awareness of angles and exposure, the mathematical certainty of where threats would come from. Some things training burned so deep they became instinct. They reached the hub, a reinforced door with biometric scanner. Rachel pulled out the device she'd used on Chen's house, attached it to the lock. It hummed, cycling through possibilities. 30 seconds, she muttered. Come on. Behind them, lights swept across the compound. Automated patrol, not guards' drones with mounted cameras and speakers. Freeze, a synthesized voice commanded. You are trespassing on private property. Security has been notified. Remain where you are. So much for subtle, Martinez said. The lock clicked. Rachel hauled the door open. Inside, now. They piled into the security hub, as the drone closed in its camera, tracking their last position. Derek immediately started working the console fingers flying across keyboards. Killing the drones, rerouting camera feeds, and we're ghosts. They can't see us now. How long until someone notices the system's compromised? Rachel asked. Hard to say. Could be minutes, could be never if they're not actively monitoring. Derek pulled up building schematics. Server core is 3 levels down. Hardened bunker. This is where Ashford would store Widow Protocol. Rachel checked her weapon. Then that's where we go. Martinez, stay here. Monitor external approaches. If FBI arrives, guide them in. Derek, you're with me. I should stay. I'm better with computers. I need someone watching my back who can shoot. You qualified on that rifle for a reason. Rachel moved toward the interior door. Besides, I might need you to shut down Widow Protocol if we find it. Can't do that if you're up here. Derek grabbed his rifle, followed. They descended into the bunker through stairwells that felt like going into a tomb. Concrete walls filtered air, the hum of massive cooling systems keeping servers alive. This is serious infrastructure, Derek whispered. We're talking military-grade data storage. Whatever's down here, Ashford spent millions protecting it. They reached the 3rd sub-level. A blast door blocked their path, 6 inches of steel with a cipher lock that looked like it belonged on a nuclear silo. Rachel studied it. Can you crack this? Not quickly. That's serious encryption. Could take hours. We don't have hours. Rachel stepped back, thinking, then pulled out her phone called Martinez. I need you to access Derek's hack of Ashford's systems. Look for anything about access codes to the server vault. Personal files, notes, anything. On it. Give me a minute. They waited in the humming silence. Rachel's fingers did that counting rhythm against her leg. Derek noticed. What are you counting? Time. Always time. How long until someone realizes we're here? How long until Widow Protocol activates? How long we have to stop this? Rachel looked at him. You regret coming? Regret signing up for this? Honestly, yeah, a little. This is way beyond what I thought I was getting into. Derek managed a weak smile. But my brother's alive because of you. That debt doesn't have an expiration date, so no matter how scared I am, I'm here until it's done. Scared is smart. Scared keeps you sharp. Rachel's phone buzzed. Martinez. Got something. Ashford's personal notes reference a code he changes weekly. This week's code is Sierra 77 Alpha 92. Rachel punched it into the cipher lock. The blast door groaned, began sliding open. We're in, she told Martinez. FBI shows up, tell them we're 3 levels down, and to bring someone who understands data forensics. Beyond the door was a room full of server racks, blinking lights, the concentrated power of enough computing to run a small country. And in the center, a single terminal with a countdown timer displayed on screen. 43 minutes. That's Widow Protocol, Derek said, moving to the terminal. It's already active. In 43 minutes, every file in this system uploads to distributed servers worldwide. Once it's out there, it can't be stopped. Rachel joined him, studying the screen. Can you shut it down? Maybe, if I can access the root directory and kill the upload sequence. Derek's hands were already moving across the keyboard. But it's encrypted. Heavily. This is going to take time. How much time? More than 43 minutes. Rachel swore. Then we pull the plug, physically disconnect everything. That might trigger automatic uploads, fail-safe against tampering. Derek kept typing. I need to disable the fail-safes first, then kill the power. Wrong order and Widow Protocol deploys anyway. So do it right? Helpful. Thanks. Rachel moved away, giving him space to work. She walked through the server room, reading labels on equipment racks. Operations going back years. Names of agents. Sources. Methods. Everything that kept intelligence operations functional. Everything that kept people alive. "Rachel," Derek called. "I found something. Ashford embedded a message in the Widow protocol code. It's addressed to you." She returned to the terminal. Derek pulled up a text file. "To Operator 7. Rachel read aloud. "You think you've won. You think justice has been served, but you've only shown your ignorance of how the world actually works. The network you've exposed is just one tentacle. Cut it off and 3 more grow back. I built something bigger than myself, bigger than you. And whether I'm in prison or dead, it continues. Sleep well knowing that everything you've done, every sacrifice, every scar changes nothing. The game goes on, and you're no longer a player. You're just another casualty who doesn't know she's dead yet. Enjoy your hollow victory. General William Ashford." The room was silent, except for the hum of machinery. "He's trying to break you," Derek said. "Make you think it was all pointless." Maybe it was. Rachel's voice was flat. Maybe he's right. Maybe I've been chasing shadows while the real enemy stays hidden. You don't believe that. I don't know what I believe anymore. Rachel touched her scars. 3 years of hunting. 3 years of sacrifice. And what do I have? 1 general in custody. 1 network disrupted. But how many others are out there? How many people like Ashford are still selling secrets, getting soldiers killed, and I'm too tired to chase them? Then rest. You've earned it. You've done more than anyone could ask. Soldiers don't rest. We just find new wars. Rachel looked at the countdown. 38 minutes. But maybe Ashford's right. Maybe I'm already dead, and just don't know it yet. Maybe that cell killed me 3 years ago, and everything since has been a ghost going through motions. Derek stopped typing, looked at her. You're not dead. You're the most alive person I know. Damaged, yeah. Scarred, absolutely. But alive. And that scares people like Ashford because dead things are predictable. Living things fight back. Rachel wanted to believe him, wanted to feel that fire that had sustained her through 3 years of hunting. But standing in this room full of Ashford's contingencies, reading his dismissal of everything she'd done, she just felt empty. "Timer's still running," she said. "Get back to work." Derek returned to the terminal, typing faster now. "I'm through the first encryption layer. 2 more to go, but I'm making progress." Footsteps echoed from the stairwell. Multiple people moving fast. Rachel raised her rifle. "Derek Company." "FBI. Let's hope." Martinez's voice crackled through comms. "Rachel, FBI's here. I'm sending them down. Don't shoot them." "Copy that." 6 agents in tactical gear emerged from the stairwell, weapons ready. The lead agent saw Rachel and Derek, made hand signals to hold fire. "Rachel Mitchell," he called out. "That's me." "Special Agent Torres, FBI Counterintelligence. General Harrison sent us. Said you'd be 3 levels down, stopping the apocalypse." He lowered his weapon. "That about right? Close enough. You bring someone who understands computer forensics." Torres gestured to a younger agent. "Sanchez is our cyber specialist. What are we dealing with?" Derek filled them in, while Sanchez joined him at the terminal. The 2 of them worked in tandem, speaking in technical jargon that might as well have been foreign language to Rachel. She moved to the corner, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had kept her moving was fading, leaving just bone-deep tiredness and the weight of everything she'd done to get here. Martinez appeared from the stairwell. "You okay?" "Everyone keeps asking me that." "Because you look like you're about to fall over." Martinez sat beside her. "When's the last time you actually slept, really slept?" Rachel thought about it. Couldn't remember. Sleep is when they get you, when you're vulnerable. Learned that in the cell. You're not in the cell anymore. Aren't I? Rachel gestured at the room, at the servers full of secrets, at the countdown timer still ticking away. Different walls. Same war. Same enemies who want me dead. Only difference is the location. The difference is you're winning now. You got Ashford. You're stopping Widow Protocol. You're saving lives. Am I? Or am I just delaying the inevitable? Rachel pulled out the worn photograph of her team. 12 faces looking back at her. They're still dead, Martinez. Nothing I do brings them back. Nothing I do changes what happened. I'm just rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. Martinez was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what I think? I think you've been fighting so long you've forgotten how to stop. Forgotten that finishing a mission doesn't mean starting another one immediately. Sometimes soldiers get to rest. Sometimes they get to heal. Healing's for people who aren't broken beyond repair. You're not broken. I walked into gunfire like I welcomed death. I've spent 3 years obsessed with revenge disguised as justice. I can't sleep, can't relax, can't imagine a life that isn't hunting the next target. Rachel's voice cracked. That's not damaged. That's shattered, and I don't know how to put the pieces back together. Don't even know if I want to. Then don't, Martinez said simply. Don't put yourself back together as who you were. Be who you are now. Scars and all. Maybe that's enough. Rachel wanted to argue, wanted to reject the simplicity of his answer, but she was too tired. Timer's at 20 minutes, Derek called out. We're making progress, but this is going to be close. Rachel stood, pushed the exhaustion down, found that operational mindset that let her function when everything else failed. What do you need? Time, and maybe a miracle. This encryption is insane. Derek looked stressed. If we don't break it in the next 15 minutes, Widow Protocol deploys and every intelligence asset in the world gets exposed. Sanchez spoke up. There might be another way. If we can locate the physical drives containing Widow Protocol and remove them before the upload completes, we might be able to contain it. Where would the drives be? Rachel asked. Probably a separate secure location. Ashford wouldn't keep them with the main servers too vulnerable. Sanchez pulled up schematics. There, sub-level 4. There's another vault, smaller. That's where he'd store the most sensitive data. How do we access it? Same as this one. Blast door, cipher lock. Rachel grabbed her gear. Torres, stay here with Derek and Sanchez. Keep working on shutting this down digitally. Martinez, you're with me. We're getting those drives. They descended another level into a space that felt more like a crypt than a server room. Single vault door, same cipher lock. Rachel tried the code from before. It didn't work. He changed it for this level, Martinez said. Of course he did. Rachel pulled out her phone to call Derek. No signal. Too deep underground. We need to breach this door. How much explosive would it take? We don't have explosives, and even if we did, the blast might damage the drives inside. Then we cut through. Rachel examined the door. 6 inches of steel. That'll take hours we don't have. She stepped back, thinking. Her mind raced through options, scenarios, possibilities. Then she remembered something Chen said. About Ashford. About his psychology. He's arrogant, Rachel said. Thinks he's smarter than everyone. That's his weakness. How does that help us with a locked door? Arrogant people use predictable passwords, things that feed their ego. Rachel tried the cipher lock again this time, entering a different code. Sierra 77 Alpha. She paused, thought about Ashford's service record, his achievements. The one thing he'd be proudest of. Medal of Honor. His citation number. She entered the final digits. The blast door opened. Inside was a smaller room with a single server rack, and on it a series of hard drives labeled WP1 through WP5. Widow Protocol. Rachel started disconnecting them carefully. Martinez, grab that case. We're taking these to FBI for analysis. They loaded the drives, moved back toward the stairwell. The timer on the main level was at 8 minutes when they emerged. Got them? Rachel announced, holding up the drive case. Widow Protocol's contained. Derek sagged with relief. Thank God. We weren't going to crack that encryption in time. Torres took the case, immediately radioed for evidence teams. Good work. We'll get these to a secure facility for analysis. Sanchez shut down the countdown timer. That's it. Widow Protocol's neutralized. The room exhaled collectively. 3 years of hunting. 3 years of planning. And it was over. Just like that. No dramatic final battle. No climactic confrontation. Just exhausted people in a bunker who'd stopped the apocalypse through persistence and luck. Rachel felt nothing. No triumph, no relief. Just empty. Ma'am, Derek approached her. We did it. It's over. Is it? Rachel looked around the server room, at the evidence of Ashford's network, at the systems that had gotten so many people killed. He said the network was just one tentacle, that cutting it off changes nothing. What if he's right? Then we hunt the next tentacle, and the one after that. Derek's voice was firm. But right now, today, we stopped this one. That counts. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Rachel was too tired to tell the difference anymore. Harrison appeared from the stairwell, looking relieved. It's done. It's done, Torres confirmed. Widow Protocol's contained. Ashford's in custody. Rogers and Chen are providing testimony. We're rolling up the network as we speak. Good, Harrison walked to Rachel. You did it. Finally got justice for your team. Justice. Rachel tested the word, found it hollow. 12 men are still dead, sir. Their families still hurt. Nothing I did changes that. No, but you made sure their deaths meant something. Made sure whoever sold them out paid the price. That's all we can do, make the deaths mean something. Rachel looked at the photograph of her team, still clutched in her hand. 12 faces. 12 brothers. 12 ghosts she'd carried for 3 years. I'm sorry, she whispered to them. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. Sorry it took 3 years. Sorry it doesn't feel like enough. Martinez stood beside her. They'd be proud. You know that, right? Proud you didn't quit. Proud you got the people who killed them. Or they'd be angry I survived when they didn't. Hard to say. I say they'd be proud. Martinez took the photograph gently, looked at the faces. And I say they'd want you to rest now, to heal, to live instead of just surviving. Rachel took the photo back, tucked it away. I don't know how to do that anymore. Then learn. You spent 3 years learning how to hunt. Spend the next 3 learning how to live. FBI agents began securing the facility, documenting evidence, starting the long process of dismantling Ashford's network. Rachel watched them work with detached interest. This was their world now, their case, their victory. She was just the ghost who'd started it. What happens to me? She asked Harrison. Legally, I'm still dead, still KIA. We'll fix that. Paperwork, official resurrection. You'll be reinstated with full rank and honors. Harrison smiled. Although, given what you've done, I'm thinking you deserve a promotion. I don't want a promotion. I want... Rachel trailed off. What did she want? I don't know what I want." "Then take time to figure it out. You've earned that much." Torres approached with papers. "Mitchell, I need your statement. Everything that led to this. Start from the beginning." Rachel spent the next 2 hours recounting 3 years compressed into clinical detail. The interrogation, the survival, the investigation, the hunt. All of it reduced to words on paper evidence for trials that would drag on for years. When she finished, Torres shook her hand. "You're either the bravest person I've met, or the craziest. Maybe both." "Probably both," Rachel agreed. They emerged from the bunker into dawn light. Rachel hadn't realized they'd been underground all night. The sun was coming up over Virginia hills, painting everything gold and orange. Beautiful, peaceful, completely at odds with the darkness they'd just prevented. Derek stretched, exhausted. "I'm sleeping for a week." "You've earned it," Rachel said. "You all have." Martinez looked at her. "What about you? What are you going to do?" Rachel thought about it. Really thought. For 3 years, every decision had been about the mission, about the hunt, about revenge disguised as justice. Now that was over, she had no mission, no target, no purpose. "I don't know," she admitted. "Figure out who Rachel Mitchell is when she's not hunting. Might take a while." "Take all the time you need," Harrison said. "The Army will be here when you're ready. If you're ever ready." FBI vehicles filled the compound now, agents swarming over evidence. Rachel watched them work, felt increasingly disconnected from the chaos. This was over. Her part was done. Time to figure out what came next. Weeks passed in a blur of debriefings, depositions, and paperwork. Ashford was tried, convicted, sentenced to life without parole. Rogers got 20 years. Chen got immunity and disappeared into witness protection. 17 other conspirators were arrested, charged, their lives dismantled as thoroughly as they'd dismantled operations. Rachel testified at every trial, her scarred face and calm recitation of facts making her the prosecution's star witness. Defense attorneys tried to break her, tried to paint her as damaged, unreliable, obsessed. She sat through it all with the same blank expression she'd worn for 3 years as a translator. When the last trial ended, Harrison found her outside the courthouse. "It's over," he said. "Really over this time. Justice served." "Justice served?" Rachel echoed. Still sounded hollow. "I have something for you. A proposal." Harrison handed her a folder. "Read it. Think about it. No pressure either way." Rachel opened the folder. Official Army letterhead. Authorization to rebuild Unit 19 as a counterintelligence task force. Primary mission protecting soldiers from betrayal. Commander Major Rachel Mitchell. "You're offering me Unit 19, she said slowly. "A new Unit 19. Clean slate. You pick your team. You set the protocols. You build it from the ground up as it should have been built the first time." Harrison met her eyes. "You've spent 3 years hunting traitors. Maybe it's time to prevent betrayal instead of just punishing it." Rachel stared at the papers. This was it. The next mission. The next purpose. Everything she'd wanted since the hunt ended. So why did it feel wrong? "I don't know if I can do this," she said. "Don't know if I'm stable enough to lead people again. Last time I led people, 12 of them died." "Last time you led people, you were betrayed by someone above you. That won't happen again. I'm personally overseeing Unit 19's charter. Nobody gets access without my authorization. You'll be protected. And if I fail, if my damage costs lives, then you'll do what every commander does, live with it, and try to do better next time." Harrison's voice was gentle. "Rachel, you're not broken beyond repair. You're just broken in ways that make you perfect for this job. Who better to protect soldiers from betrayal than someone who survived it? Rachel looked at Derek and Martinez standing nearby. They'd stayed with her through the trials, refusing to abandon the ghost who'd dragged them into darkness. "Would you two even want this?" she asked them. "Unit 19, under my command." Derek didn't hesitate. "Absolutely." Martinez took longer, then nodded. "Someone has to keep you from walking into gunfire. Might as well be us." Rachel almost smiled. "You know this won't be easy. We'll be investigating our own, making enemies inside the military. It's going to be ugly." "Everything worthwhile is ugly," Derek said. "We're in." Rachel looked back at the authorization papers, at the chance to turn her damage into something useful, to protect others from suffering what she'd suffered. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll do it. But on one condition." "Name it," Harrison said. "We start with kindness. Every person who joins Unit 19 gets evaluated not just on skill, but on character. We build a team that treats people right, that sees value in everyone. Because the moment we start treating soldiers like assets, instead of people, we become what we're fighting against. I can live with that." "Then I accept." Rachel closed the folder. "When do we start?" "Whenever you're ready." Rachel took a deep breath, looked at the courthouse where Ashford and his conspirators had been sentenced, looked at the sky clear and blue, looked at her team scarred, tired, but ready. "I'm ready now." 6 months later, Unit 19 operated from a secure facility outside D.C. Rachel had recruited carefully not just skilled operators, but good people. People who'd been dismissed or overlooked. People with scars of their own who understood that damage didn't mean worthless. Derek ran technical operations. Martinez handled personnel. Foster recovered from his wounds, oversaw training, and Rachel commanded it all with the same intensity she'd brought to hunting, but channeled toward protection instead of revenge. They stopped 3 betrayals in their first 6 months, identified 2 moles before they could do damage, protected soldiers from people who would have sold them for profit. Late one night, Rachel sat in her office reviewing case files. Her scars ached, they always did when it rained. But the pain was familiar now. Manageable. Part of who she was instead of who she'd been. A knock at her door. Martinez entered with coffee. "Thought you could use this." "Thanks." Rachel accepted the cup. "Couldn't sleep. Could ask you the same thing." "I sleep better now. Not great, but better." Rachel gestured at the files. "We've got a new case. Suspected equipment fraud. Sounds familiar." "Another Reeves?" "Maybe. Or maybe just someone who needs to be stopped before they become one." Rachel closed the file. "Either way, we're on it." "You know," Martinez said, sitting down, "when I first met you, I thought you were broken. Maybe beyond repair. But watching you lead this team, I was wrong. You weren't broken. You were just being rebuilt into something different. Different good or different bad? Different necessary?" Martinez smiled. "The Army needs people like you. People who've been through hell and came back with lessons instead of just scars. Well, scars too, but you get what I mean." Rachel touched her face, traced the lines that would never fade. "These scars used to feel like shame, like proof I failed. But now they're just proof I survived. That's not nothing. That's everything." They sat in comfortable silence, drinking coffee, preparing for the next case. Outside, rain fell on the compound. Inside, a team of damaged people worked to protect others from damage. Rachel looked at the photograph of her 12 fallen teammates now framed on her office wall. "I kept my promise," she told them silently. "Made sure your deaths meant something. Made sure betrayal gets punished and prevention gets priority. Hope that's enough. Hope you're proud. She'd never know if they were. Never know if justice and revenge had truly been different. Never know if 3 years of hunting had been about protecting others, or just processing grief. But she knew this: she was still here, still fighting, still protecting soldiers from betrayal. And every person Unit 19 saved was proof that broken things could still be useful, that scars told stories of survival, not just suffering, that ghosts could choose to protect instead of just haunt. An encrypted message appeared on her computer. New intelligence. Possible betrayal in progress. Lives at risk. Rachel read it, made her decision in seconds. Martinez, wake the team. We've got work. On it. As Martinez left, Rachel stood, grabbed her gear. The hunt never truly ended. There were always more betrayals to stop, more soldiers to protect, more wrongs to right. But now she hunted with a team, with purpose, with the understanding that justice wasn't about revenge, it was about making sure the next generation didn't suffer what hers had. She walked out of her office into the operational center where her team was gathering. Saw their faces scarred, tired, determined. Saw the trust they placed in her to lead them right. Felt the weight of that responsibility. Listen up, she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd earned command through suffering and survival. We've got a live threat. Possible equipment fraud that could cost lives. We move fast, we move clean, and we bring everyone home safe. Questions. No one had questions. They knew their jobs, knew their commander, knew that following Rachel Mitchell meant walking through darkness, but coming out the other side intact. Then let's move. Clock's ticking, and soldiers need protecting. They moved with practiced efficiency, loading into vehicles, heading toward their next mission. Rachel sat in the lead vehicle, watching the city lights blur past. She thought about Firebase Phoenix, where this had all started. About the translator they'd mocked. About the woman who'd endured humiliation because she needed to see who people really were when they thought you were powerless. She thought about the cell where they'd carved letters into her spine. About 8 months of torture that should have broken her, but instead forged her into something harder. Something necessary. She thought about Ashford and Reeves and Chen and Rogers, people who'd sold loyalty for profit and paid the price when a ghost came back to collect debts. And she thought about her 12 teammates whose deaths had started this journey, and whose memory kept her honest about why she fought. Pain had taught her patience. Betrayal had taught her purpose. And ghosts like her never stopped watching, never stopped protecting, never stopped fighting for soldiers who deserved leaders that wouldn't sell them out. The vehicle raced through the night toward another mission, another chance to prevent betrayal, another opportunity to prove that broken things could still protect others from breaking. Rachel Mitchell, Operator 7. The Ghost Sniper. The woman who refused to stay dead was exactly where she needed to be. Leading from the front, fighting for the forgotten, protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. And she would keep fighting until there were no more betrayals to stop, or until her body finally gave out, whichever came first, because that's what soldiers did, what survivors did, what ghosts did when they chose to protect instead of just haunt. They kept going, kept fighting, kept making sure that every scar they carried meant something. And Rachel's scars meant everything.